Hey, everybody. Welcome back once again to the Fans of Motion podcast, the only podcast you didn't know you needed. I say to my friends here, she likes it warm in the summertime. You know, she likes it when the moon shines. She takes her cues from the other side. Oh, yeah. What am I to do? I said, baby, 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 bring it all home to me. Say hello, Josh.
The new Night Ranger single. Good job, Andrew.
Hells to the yes. And it rocks.
I want to hear the Randy. I want to hear the Macho Man Savage version of that.
Oh yeah, everybody wants
She
him to
likes
bring it
warm
home.
in the summertime. Yeah. Oh yeah. What am I supposed to do? I said, baby, 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 bring it all home to me. Say hello, Brent.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing when you were doing it.
I didn't think, but I should have did that at the beginning.
Yeah, you should have.
I know we're open with that. That is I'm loving that song so much, and I thought I have to do it because it's out, and we got to talk about it briefly. Fucking rocks. Just saying.
Yeah, I think I even like that better than Breakout, and I love Breakout.
It's great. I cannot wait for this album.
Well, we were fortunate we got to see it behind the scenes,
Yeah.
On a cell phone over the internet, which was cool, but it's much cooler seeing the final product, final edit,
Yeah.
2021, we got new Night Ranger videos. Life is good.
And they're great. I mean, the songs are great. It is. I'm gonna start threatening people if they don't buy the CD. I think I'm gonna resort to violence.
I think I'm different than Brent. I'm still a big fan of Breakout. I like it more than the new single, but the new single's not bad.
We need to do a greatest hits of just the album so far.
Oh Lord.
Speaking of which, of the Breakout single, Brent, I don't know, have you paid close attention to Kelly's drumming at the end of that song? All the double bass he's got going on?
I haven't.
Put some headphones on and just listen to it.
Yeah, I haven't
He's
heard
really
it that
going
way
at it on Breakout, not the new one. I'm sorry if I meant to miscorrect it. Breakout. He starts going off there, man. I'm like, damn, Kelly. Damn, bro. Hey, bro.
His drumming is superb on that track.
Underrated, as some people have said.
Correctamundo. So
we're here. This episode we're talking about the new one. One we're just not going to introduce here. We introduce. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing this wrong. Hold on. The last episode we did was our greatest hits, Volume 2, from Neverland to Don't Let Up.
There you go. Ta-da.
Even though I think you were doing the right sequence originally, usually we introduce this week's episode, but before we get into that, we go and...
I know, I'm like,
So basically, 56, 57 episodes in, Andy still doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
I rewrote my note today.
Even with notes. So this week we have Carl Davino, sound man for Night Ranger, front of the house sound. Again, we kind of give you a behind-the-scenes look into the Night Ranger world, and Carl has some great stories, has worked with a lot of artists, and I think you guys will just enjoy the stories that Carl has. So you learn a little bit about what he does as the front of the house sound guy, but you also get to hear some of the great stories of him working with Foghat and Prince, the Replacements, Megadeth, and how he even got into the business. So sit back and enjoy the episode.
Super.
More importantly, you learn the difference between a Boston accent, a New York accent, and a Jersey accent.
Yep, the important stuff, and yeah, just some good stories, and like I said, you get to see behind the curtain a little bit into the Night Ranger world, and then we segue into Andy. Last week's episode
was the Greatest Hits Volume 2, which was kind of fun to do. I enjoyed that one a lot, although Josh's list clearly is horribly off. But
yeah,
any feedback on anybody that you want to share with anybody? Anything good, bad? Anybody agree with Andy? Clearly, I didn't see anybody agree with me, although I have to say, I think it was me and Nadelman. Our lists were pretty close.
A ting right around Shapin' Chapin'. Hey, at least he tried to make an album cover.
Yeah.
He took that challenge on.
Mm-hmm. And we've had like Steve Roaming put one on Facebook. A lot of the same songs we had. He had a couple unique, No Time to Lose You. I don't think we had on any of ours, but most of his had at least one of ours on there. But he ignored our rules and he put a bonus track from Feeding Off the Mojo.
Yeah,
I had No Time to Lose You. I had that.
Did you? All right.
Yeah.
Well then, but his bonus track was Last Chance, and
well, Josh, do you agree with that song?
Yeah, I was just
as a bonus track.
Again, just
I know he broke the rules.
Realistically, would they? I mean, realistically, it would never happen because of the labels between Sony and all those. So I guess you could throw Mojo on there. Just that definitely wouldn't happen. But yeah, Last Chance would be definitely a track. Would be the track I would probably pick from that record as well. So if Steve's wants to do that, I can agree with that sentiment there, and
but no bonus tracks.
But no bonus tracks. But Nadelman, yes.
Mine was a hidden track. It wasn't bonus. It was hidden.
He had the acoustic version of Sister Christian on there. That was good. And Chapin had some good good High Roads 2, the Greatest Hits Volume 2, and a good cover. So good job there, Chapin.
I don't know. I liked my artwork, so.
Yeah, and what was it? The
album you pointed to. I was like, Andy, did you do this one?
The lead singer, I think, from Kix. Is that right?
Yeah.
He basically has a stick drawing. I was like, Andy, did you get hired to
do side work?
Yeah. So it's all for fun, just fun stuff that we like to do and live in fantasy world and put together a Night Ranger Greatest Hits Volume 2. And thanks to everybody that joined in with us and put their own list up with us as well.
Absolutely. Brent, you want anything else to comment on that one, or are you good?
No, I'm good.
All right.
It just it sucked. I wanted to do more songs, and I couldn't. And I start seeing other people's lists where they do Growing Up in California. I'm like, yeah, I know that those were the hits from the record, or the releases from the record. I've always strayed from that. I can't help it.
Yeah.
It's like you said. The world's buying a VHS. I buy a Beta. The world's buying an iPod. I'm buying a Zune.
Yeah.
That's the way I am.
Here's the grain. Here's Brent.
Yeah.
I'll go right against it.
That's just the way it is.
With that being said, do we have any Night Ranger news anybody want to discuss?
Well, I guess the biggest thing would be the new video release of Bring It All Home, or I'm probably missing.
Bring It All Home to Me.
Yeah. To me. Something in there.
I was surprised, Josh. I just messaged you. I was up late. I forget what I want to say Thursday night. I don't recall. And I just was checking my email before I go to bed, and it's like, oh, it shows my Apple receipt, new song in your. I was like, what?
Yes.
I went straight to my iTunes. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I pre-ordered, and it just shows up.
If you pre-order,
so I sat up and listened to it.
You get it at midnight. So, but yeah, the video was shot the same day as Breakout, just a different location. There is, it's getting positive feedback. Everybody seems to be enjoying it. I think your casual Night Ranger fans like it probably more than Breakout, because it's got the big melodic chorus and some of the stuff that Night Ranger's known for. But yeah, I mean, how great is that we, again, summer of 2021, we got new Night Ranger videos coming out. So that's...
Yeah, and it no longer takes 4 days to shoot a video. They can do 2 in 1 day now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably the biggest Night Ranger news with the new single. Not sure.
And Brent's back.
Yeah, they played the show in Filer, Idaho, like Gordy's Highway Music 30 Fest, something like that, Route 30. And Brad was back for that show. He should be back for the rest of them. The next show is the M3 Festival
M3
in Maryland on July 4th. And then we got the shows that I will be at Clear Lake, Wabash, and Wisconsin Dells. As of now, you guys should be at the Wabash show as well, which is Saturday, July 10th. I'm not sure if they've added any other shows. There's not a lot in August. They've added, Monsters on the Mountain, the Nashville show, both in October. I'm not sure if anything else has really been added recently.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting people from the page for the first time. Finally,
should be.
You've experienced it, but
there wasn't a lot of people from the page at the Houston show, but there is going to be a lot at the Wabash show. I've seen a lot of people on the page talking about going to that show. So,
I'm excited to meet Josh if I go to that show.
Yeah. Let's get to. We actually get to meet in person. Joel Hoekstra, their record, that record he did with Tony Franklin, and unfortunately I can't remember the guitar player, but his name would start with a V because VHF, which stands for that guitar player's last name, Hoekstra and Franklin. It's getting a re-release on Golden Robot Records. So if you go to Joel's personal site or the Golden Robot Records site, you can get that re-release. I don't think it's any new material. It's just basically it's been out of print. The only difference will be you'll have that Golden Robot record label on the back cover there. But if you haven't been able to find that, it's being re-released, so there is some new Joel stuff. Other than that, I don't know if there's anything new besides, we got the new Night Ranger record coming out August 6th. We got the campaign to make the record #1, so pre-order the record, either digital through iTunes or
Amazon,
the vinyl through Amazon or the individual web store from Night Ranger, or
you could even go to Target.com and get the red vinyl on Target.com.
However you want to do it, go and get and pre-order the new record and get get credit, let the band get credit for that record sale to get them a good chart position when the opening week comes.
Yeah, and the key is we can do position. This because I don't know how much. I don't know if Wolfgang Van Halen's album was probably going to go #1 anyway, but it just shows that people can do it. Just buy the stuff, man. Just buy it. Give these guys a shot and put rock albums, rock music back on these charts instead of all this stuff that's out there right now. I mean, rock's still alive and still making. There's bands still making great music, especially Night Ranger. Yeah. And we have the power to do this.
Speaking of that, so 2021, we got a new Styx record.
That's a great looking cover.
It is.
Here, back it up a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, look at that. That's here, so cool looking.
The actual CD too. So, but yeah. So it's 2021. We got a new Styx record, and we got new Dennis DeYoung record. The Styx record, the first couple times I threw it in, I was doing stuff, listening to it. I don't know if I was swayed one way or the other, but then I actually got to sit down and listen to it, and the record's phenomenal. It goes back a little bit to like their 70s progressive type sounds, but big choruses, what you'd expect from Tommy Shaw. This I ordered from the website, their web store, so it's a clear vinyl, with the custom label there.
So cool looking.
They got a lot of bundles too, where you could get the clear with a T-shirt or the clear and the black. So it was very cool. They had a lot of options. I just ended up getting the clear vinyl, but the record is really good. Like I said, when I first put it in, I was kind of just, it's okay. And then the more I got into it, the first single is probably one of my least favorite tracks on the record. So, and then Dynasty Young released 26 East Volume 2, which is his final studio record. It's not bad. The thing with Dynasty Young is most of his records, if there's 10 songs, I'm into maybe 3 or 4, and then there's 3 on there that I'm not into. Then there's usually 2 that I just am totally just put off by. But it's just so good to hear his voice. I mean, The Isle of Misanthrope would have been great on that new Styx record. A couple others would have been great on the Styx record. I love hearing Dennis's voice. I love seeing him live. But yeah, is he still good for Styx? I don't know. I saw him with Styx in '96, and it was just like, And I love Gowan, the guy that's replaced him.
Lance.
Yeah,
Gowan.
Lawrence. Yeah, he's really good. But yeah, I mean, it's good. 2021, I get to hear some new Dynasty Young. I saw him live just a couple years ago. He's phenomenal live. Just, I don't know. Dynasty Young kind of lost me on the Cornerstone album, and ever since it's just been, kind of a love-hate thing with him. But I've always said Dynasty Young with a beard and mustache, especially the beard. That was cool, Dynasty Young, man. Grand Illusion and Pieces of 8. But
Rockin' the Paradise.
But there you go. There's some. 2021, man. I got new music from Night Ranger, Styx, Dynasty Young. We got Wolfgang's record out. Joel had a record out earlier this year. So the music's out there, man. Just
Josh, does that cover your new stuff?
No, that was just news stuff. If you want to go with new stuff, the only thing I really got a Night Ranger Casino chip.
Get out of here.
So
pretty cool.
It's the Shooting Star Casino in Minnesota. Night Ranger was playing there January 9th, 2004. It's a $5 chip, so you got the original lineup there. A little bit of the Night Ranger logo in the back and the date, and even on the side you have the date and the band name.
That's really sharp.
Yeah, that cost me too much. Just something unique you don't see every day. So something new to add to the collection.
Yeah, Andy brought me back some Kiss ones from Vegas when he was there, like 2 weeks after they played. Yeah. They still had some in circulation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. He didn't bring you the $100 chip, did he?
I did not.
That's the one to get, Brent. You don't have it. Andy's not a true friend.
I did send him some Kiss air guitar strings.
Yes, he did.
Well,
no, that was a different Vegas trip.
Oh, was I don't remember.
Yeah.
Which trip did I enjoy the most, Brent? You have my memories.
I think you enjoyed the last one with the air guitar strings. You went with Teresa. The other time you went was when you were the union rep person.
I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
That's when you sent me the chips.
You're right. I lost some money on that trip. That's why that was not a good trip.
So, see, I do have his memories. I know what he did.
I forgot I even went. Hey, real quick, before we forget about releases, I wanted to mention, I don't have it, but Brent hipped me to it, that Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime got a re-release. Friday, was it, Brent?
It's like a box set.
It's a box set.
It's like
I thought they did 2 records. What
do you mean?
I thought they released 2 box sets, or 2. They did it for 2 of the records.
Oh, I don't know. I just know of Mindcrime.
There might be an Empire thing too, but I didn't know about it, and Brent had just told me about it because we were talking about Queensryche privately in a conversation, and he said, they got a box set. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and he sent it to me, and it's only like was it like $68 on Amazon, but it's got 4. It's considered, like, I think the listing is it's the final, the ultimate production of this.
They remixed it to Abbey Road Studios.
Yeah, but it's got like 2 live versions, and it's got some extended stuff, and
They did.
I haven't got it, but I think I'm going to get it.
There's Operation Mindcrime, 4 CDs and a DVD,
Yeah,
and then they did Empire, 3 CD DVD.
yeah.
And they each have a booklet.
So for those that are Reich fans, Empire Mindcrime is one of the greatest concept albums ever put out. You know, I'm not saying it's the greatest, but it's one of them. And if you're not a fan, you should definitely, or if you are a fan, I mean, you should give that a listen. That's a great headphones on, turn it up, and let it happen.
Bada bing.
That's it. So no more new. But you got anything new you want to discuss?
No, I don't think I do.
Everybody good? Everybody good? All right.
I'm good.
Fans in motion. You got any shout outs? Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I got a few shout outs. I don't have them on the TV screen behind me, so I apologize to everybody. But Dave Glazer, our Glasser, posting the San Francisco Hot Rock video that he posted, was that this morning, I think? It's from a show in San Francisco called Hot Rock, and he has different snippets of the time they were on there. It was really cool. Jeffrey, I'm trying to read my own handwriting here. Jeffrey Allenbaugh, he was the one who did the Night Ranger logo for the concert.
Oh yeah.
You know, concert
The
paintings
backdrop.
and chronicles is where he's
Yep.
from. Yeah, so he did the backdrop, that painting. I thought that was really cool to see it laying there. You know, he was talking about, you have no idea how big this thing actually is. And I'd love to see it in proportion to something that I have. I think I found a picture of it that Mr. Greenaway had posted over in England. I think they had it over there. That's what it looked like, but his picture was from 2011. Anyway, that was cool that Jeffrey shared that with us, so I appreciated that.
Yeah, very cool.
Chris Stuvek, 623.84 Billboard charts. Or Sister Christian had dropped from number 5 to 14 that week.
Lousy dropping.
You know, it had, so many weeks on the charts already. But yeah, I think so. I think I don't know. I think it peaked. Did it peak at 5? I don't remember. But yeah, it was cool when I even made a remark. My God, Laura Branigan and there's some other things are so unforgettable on there. And ever since I've seen that, I've had that Gloria song stuck in my head.
Calling Gloria.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know.
Horrible. I never liked it.
I love seeing those old charts, man.
Yeah, I do too. But Gloria, ugh. Anyway, I don't even think that was her song. I think it was a different song that she had on there. I forget. Robbie Swink. Fitz action figure.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Walter White.
I was trying to figure out what that was from. Is that what it was from, Walter White?
It's Walter White's Breaking Bad.
Okay. And
Breaking Fitz.
And I thought, oh, that's so great. We've got to figure out a way to make it a whole band. I know people do them out of Legos and crap like that, but when I saw that, I started laughing. I'm like, well, the hat's a little too, the brim's a little bit too short, but
that's great.
I feel it. I feel you. And that's my Fans in Motion news for the week. Thank you for everybody who's contributed to the page. We love you, and pre-order that son of a bitch before August 6th.
Yeah, and speaking of the fans, I mean, Josh, last I checked, we're at 5,500. Am I correct? Or is it jumped since we've been recording?
It's probably 5,500, yeah.
Amazing.
And so, yeah, I mean, if you're on the page, I think if you go and click members and click invite, it'll pull up your friends list. Invite everybody to the page. If you're listening to the podcast, leave us a comment either on the Facebook page under the podcast post or on the YouTube link. Let us know you're listening. Just let us know that you're out there and what you think, or just say hi. I don't give a shit, but just leave us some love and let us know that you're out there and you enjoy the podcast and the time that we're putting into it.
Yeah, and tell a friend. Get get somebody else listening to this thing besides joining the page. This thing only grows and gets bigger by the spreading word of mouth, and then we've grown incredibly in the course of just a little over a year, and that's all because of everybody just telling their friends and the love of this fantastic band. So make sure you tell somebody.
We've only had to get rid of about 20 people.
Well,
I mean, there's not
here.
that many people banned from the page, but there are some.
Well, if people are
what
just
do you got
dicks. Hey, look at this beaut. I want to take my cans off real quick, but look at this thrift store find.
Is that Schlitz? I think I just saw Schlitz. No, yeah, I did. Lord, that is.
Look at that.
Wow.
Schlitz?
Ladies and gentlemen, there's normally a ceremony when Josh changes hats, just like the changing of the guard at the castles in England or the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, but Josh just went rogue on us there.
Look at this. God, this is a beaut.
Josh, go ahead, Brent.
He looks like we're going to start calling him the Snowman. He looks like a trucker. You definitely look like a trucker. You get a dog, basset hound named Fred. I'm watching your show.
Stop by the Choke and Puke.
Choke Puke, yep.
I'll drink some Coors.
Josh, let me ask you, are you familiar with or a fan of Hudipole?
Hudipole, yeah. Houday.
I might be able to get you some Hudipole paraphernalia from my dad's house.
Actually, right over here is a vintage 70s Hudipole Bengals beer sign. Has the old Bengals helmet.
The old hat. Yeah.
And
I think my dad has one of those.
It says the pride of Cincinnati, then underneath it, Hudipole beer.
Actually, it shows the Bengals.
I've had that thing's been with me forever. I traded a buddy of mine when I was like 10. Had that. He got it from his dad or something. I traded some baseball cards for it, and it's been with me ever since. Last time I was in Cincinnati, when we were, went to the liquor store to get some beer, drank at the hotel, I picked up a 12-pack of Hudipole. When in Rome, do as the Romans do.
If my dad wants to part with some of his paraphernalia, I'll put it in a box and ship it your way. Because I have no need for it.
I remember he had a bunch of those at one point, and when the Bengals changed, they gave me one.
Yeah.
So when the Bengals changed their helmet, I painted it and put stripes on it.
There you go.
But
I did.
Hudipole, a good Cincinnati staple.
There you go. All right, that's enough of hot beer talk on the Night Ranger podcast. Anything else we need to do before we end this bad boy?
No. The only thing I can think of is sit back, relax, grab a Hudipole, and listen to Carl tell us some great stories and give us some backstage access to the Night Ranger world.
In which there will be a little bit of beer talk in that episode, even.
Yeah. Carl's great. I mean, again, these interviews are fantastic, and these guys, again, we're peeking behind the curtain, and you're getting to hear stuff and learn about things, and the importance of having a hole in your bass drum head. It's important. I disagreed at the time, but I get it now. So with that being said, Josh, you want to send us into the land of Carl?
Everybody, sit back and enjoy Carl Davino, front of the house sound man for Night Ranger. Welcome, everyone, to another top-of-the-line interview with the Fans in Motion podcast. We welcome today the front of the house sound man for Night Ranger, and in my opinion, the number one front of the house sound man in the whole industry. But that is just my personal and humble opinion. Mr.
Hey, I'll take the compliments wherever they come from. There's no such thing as bad press.
So everyone, welcome Mr. Carl Davino. Carl, thank you for joining us.
How you doing?
This is another peek behind the so-called curtain of the Night Ranger world. We first did an interview with with Ed Repepe, the tour manager for Night Ranger. We had Richie Russo, who was the keyboard and drum tech for Night Ranger. And now we have, in my opinion, probably the most important road crew man out there, and I say that for everybody that comes on.
Well, that's good. As long as you say it for everybody,
He's consistent.
It's consistently ass kissing.
Yeah. Because I have an LD that would probably argue that point about who's the most important. So I'll wait for him to do his interview.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is, like I said, this is just another peek behind the curtain to give everybody a kind of a different look of what actually goes on before you actually get to see your favorite band hit the stage. And I said this in the previous interviews, me going to concerts my whole life, I knew, that it's an all-day event setting up these shows, but I really never got to see it and really realize just what goes in.
You knew that?
Well, I did, just from being to all the shows, but when I went to the Houston show in May, I not only saw what I thought I was going to see, all the work, but even so much more, all the little details and everything you guys went through and how you guys worked as a team, and just I was really taken aback at just how much actually went in to it.
Oh yeah,
so,
we're a really well-oiled machine.
Little side eye there.
Well,
my dog is looking at me like, what?
He's like, I know that's a lie.
I think that you guys are, but
we do. We are.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a very small industry, even though people think it's huge. And it really is a small industry, and we all, when you get a crew together that actually gels, it's more fun than work.
Yeah.
Most of the time. There are times when it gets rough because of a type of show, but in general, it's mostly fun. at least for me, it is.
Well, let's start from the very beginning, and it may not come to anyone's surprise. Where were you born and raised?
New York, New York.
What?
No way.
I never would have guessed it.
Really? Jeez, I don't know. Apparently my accent has changed over the years. If you ask my wife, she says you don't sound as bad a New Yorker as you used to.
It's bad.
And I said, okay. And my wife, she'd swear she's from the Midwest. She went to a Catholic school and was brought up with the correct pronunciation of English. I went to public school, which means it was like, yeah, get out of here, give me that ball, come on. So my wife is way more educated than I am.
She's highfalutin and you're lowfalutin.
Oh, I'm just low. Let's just leave it there.
So growing up in Queens, were you a Mets fan?
Bite your tongue, sir.
Really?
Yankees, come on. And I'm of an age where I can remember Sandy Koufax, Joey Pepitone, Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle. I mean, I go way back with the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
So the Mets weren't even an issue when I was growing up as a kid. They didn't. All of a sudden, it was like this new, baseball team in 1967, maybe.
It would have been maybe. Well, I think
66.
Maybe a little bit before that. Yeah, 66, 65. Because they didn't the Miracle Mets were 68.
I thought it was 69. 69. Yeah, it was 69 because it was also the Jets won the Super Bowl in 69, right?
All right. So what about the Jets and Giants? Where did you fall there? These are the important questions.
Yeah.
The Bills.
The Bills.
Look at you.
Wow.
The only team to go to 4 consecutive Super Bowls.
Yeah, don't rub it in.
And lose.
And lose.
I'll
tell you a really short story about that Super Bowl. The last one, who was I out with? Whenever that last Super Bowl is, I was out with a band, and we had the day off on the Super Bowl. So we're all watching it in the hotel room. And it was just two of us were diehard Bills fans, and we're just sitting there. I was like, yes. Oh, no. Yeah. So, yeah, I was on the road when I saw that.
Sadly, I mean, that was such a great team.
It's the only, as far as I'm concerned, it's the only. Listen, the Jets play in Jersey, or whatever it is, right? The Giants play. I don't know where they play anymore. I mean, there's no Giant Stadium. There's no Jet Stadium.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills have Buffalo Bills Stadium. They play there, and so I always say that they're the true New York team. Much to the chagrin of many of my family and friends.
I was at a Bills playoff game against the Cincinnati Bengals here local in town, and we were all hitting beach balls because we were going to Florida in the championship game, So I got that going for me.
Here is the thing that both times that the Bengals have been to the Super Bowl, they beat the Bills in the process in the playoffs. Anyways,
that's got to feel like shit to you. The Bengals
lost.
Right.
We lost ours too. So
who was the quarterback for the Bills in 80? Was it Frank Strom? I can't remember. But anyways,
no.
81.
When the Bengals
81.
beat them to go to their first Super Bowl in 81 against the Niners. Frank Strom was a quarterback for the Bills, right? At one time.
I don't recall. I was a big fan of the Jim Kelly era. I
That's
really was. I busted chops, but I'm a big fan of that.
This would have been the era right before Jim Kelly. But anyways, thanks everyone for tuning in to not only a Night Ranger podcast, but
hot
sports, Buffalo Bills, Cincinnati Bengals, 1980s talks. So
we can cut all this out later. Right? You can just edit the sport program out.
Nah, this is what inquiring minds want to know. So when you
Joe Ferguson was the quarterback.
There he is.
Joe Ferguson,
our fact checker.
Yes.
Get on my laptop
and they had back then in '81 they had the helmets that they have now, the white and blue. They didn't have the red and yellow.
The red.
There you go. Anybody else that needs some Buffalo Bills trivia, make sure you hit us up on the Night Ranger Fans in Motion page on Facebook, and we will tell you everything you need to know about your 1981 Buffalo Bills. So you're growing up. You're in NYC. What kind of music are you getting into at a young age? Are you not only listening to music? Are you playing music? Were you from a musical family? Just how did you get into that musical world?
No one musical. I have a musical family in cousins and whatnot, but the Italian side of my family was very musical. My father married a Norwegian woman, which totally screwed that pooch. So I'm a half breed. I'm half Norwegian, half Italian. But on my father's side, there was, of course, there's the mandolin players, there's the accordion, and a guitar. Three of my cousins, and every Sunday at Grandma's house, you would have inevitably get the children to play something, So, of course, like most teens, they were a little older than me at the time. So, like most children that are forced to play something for the family, it's like, there's always one aunt that sings,
Well,
and I had one. Right. Now she actually did sing, but it got boring real fast. But that's about the extent of my family musical input. Most of it was like radio. I just love listening to songs on the radio. I mean, my probably early influence is any bands or vocals that had harmonies. I loved Everly Brothers, the Righteous Brothers, all those type of vocal harmonies. Always loved that. Convinced my dad early on that I always wanted to play drums. But like I was saying before, drums in an apartment house is probably not a good mix. So I settled for keys because by the time I started actually getting into music, my early influences were Vanilla Fudge, Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, even Jethro Tull early on. So keyboard seemed like a good, you keep me hanging on Vanilla Fudge, I can learn that. So that's where that started. When I played in the band at 16 years old, and it just went on and on from there.
What was the first rock concert that you ever went to?
That's a good one.
What's the first one that you remember?
Humble Pie.
Wow.
Humble Pie with Steve Marriott. And Peter Frampton was in the band then. I think it was Queens College. I'm not sure. Somewhere in Queens. It was 1968 or 69 maybe. Second one was actually Jethro Tull. I never saw Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Didn't see, although I didn't see Hendrix, but I heard Hendrix. I heard him in Leslie West Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the New York State Pavilion, I think they had what they call the summer concert series for a couple of years. This is after the World's Fair, when it was like the pavilion was starting to like get decrepit and fall down.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere around 68, 69 maybe. And during the summer, of course, what do teenagers do? They find some substances to enjoy music outside in the park. And I remember hearing Jimi Hendrix and Leslie West at in either one or two of those concerts. But it's a vague memory. I was very young. I'm showing my age here by saying even the word 68.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
What was your first show you got to see at Madison Square Garden? Do you remember that?
Never been to Madison Square Garden. Oh, wait a minute. I have been, and I just can't remember. But I don't know whether I wasn't working. I don't think I've ever actually seen a show at Madison Square Garden.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. It's like the Statue of Liberty. You know how long I lived in New York and never went to the Statue of Liberty?
I've been to the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I haven't been. Once. I lived there my entire life.
I grew up in
once.
Ohio.
Yeah, see? I've been to the Empire State Building once.
Oh, that's great.
And now that I'm no longer there, now I'm saying, oh, man.
I should do that stuff.
I should have went to the New York. I should have went to the Statue.
You should go visit New York.
I would have
sometime.
loved to have seen the Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters at Madison Square Garden. That looked like that was a total.
Yeah, that show they just did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would loved. I had friends that were there. So yeah, you should have come up there for this. I said, yeah, okay.
Yeah, thanks.
So getting out of high school, what was your goals, ambition? Was it related to the music field, or did you have something else in mind?
Not at all. Not at all.
Sounds like us.
Total. After high school, let's see. I moved out to the island, as they say. Got married, and did what most married guys do: get a job. I used to be an auto mechanic. My father used to say, I have two of the worst vices in the world. One is cars, second is music, third is women.
Yeah.
So luckily I didn't have the women problem, but I definitely had cars and music. And I vacillated between both of those industries, shall we say, for a long time. I love cars. I'm a car nut. My wife hates it because I've had, 70 new cars in the last 40 years.
Wow.
I get tired. I said, it's time to buy a new car. She says, you've only been in this one a year. I said, I know, but I like this one.
Yeah, but I'm tired of it.
All right. So, I got married, moved out to the island, had a job as a mechanic, working in a dealership, typical, 8 to 5, 5 day a week thing, weekends with the neighbors. And I ran into a friend of mine who I had a band in high school with. He also moved out to the island. As chance would have it, I ran into him at I think it was a Two Guys department store. And we started reminiscing, and the inevitable phrase comes up, hey, we should get the band back together.
Oh, yeah.
So that's really how I got back into music. And I said, I'm not playing keys, I'm getting drums. I bought a Slingerland kit, played drums, practiced, rehearsed. It was fun. I mean, it got me back into the music. My wife thought I was insane.
Yeah.
She's used to a guy that goes to work every day, comes home, and like I said, weekends with the neighbors, and all of a sudden, what's all this noise? So.
When did the drums and the music aspect overtake the 9 to 5 auto mechanic aspect of your life?
There's only 24 hours in a day.
Okay.
So working during the day and gigging at night, Long Island at the time was where my band was playing. And at that time in Long Island, there was 1,000 clubs on Long Island. You would trip over every club that was available, So between that, gigging 2 or 3 nights a week and then going to work in the morning and this, that, and the other thing, we weren't making any money. There was nights where, we got paid $50 and all the hamburgers you could eat. Yeah. But it was fun. My wife dug the idea. Said, well, it's a hobby. It'll wear off.
What was the name of the band in case you get it back together?
Oh, never tell that name. I'll never tell that name. Because to be honest with you, I wasn't as good as I thought I was, and we sucked. There was no two ways about it. We just sucked, but we had a great time, So
kind of backtracking a little bit, but did you ever cross paths growing up and being, a young kid in that scene with like Kiss or the New York Dolls,
Twisted Sister?
Twisted
Sister. I'm going to go against the grain here and probably piss off a lot of people. I was never really a fan of Kiss, and yet one of the best friends and one of the best friends of mine, that Todd, as I don't know if we'll get into that later, but he was a diehard Kiss fan, and but I just never. I think it was more because I was always leaning towards the sound of things. I never really thought that a Kiss album sounded great.
I will agree with you about on half of that.
I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't get into the sound. I said, it sounds like crap to me, in my honest opinion. Yeah.
How about the New York Dolls? Was that something that was, up your alley that you were going to go see, or?
Nah, not really. I wasn't a fan of the New York. I loved the idea of the New York Dolls. I just wasn't a fan. Twisted Sister was something that mainly because I probably forgot about the music other than pop radio during that period of time when I was an auto mechanic and just before I started actually thinking about getting back the band and whatever and all that. Long story. The way I got out of being an auto mechanic, I literally fell into it. It was like, inevitably the drummer is where everybody rehearses because it's just too much stuff to move. So which means I also had the PA system that we used live. When it used to fit into a large van, but it still was a PA system. So when the band broke up, everybody said, well, you can buy us out of the PA. And I said, oh, thanks. I have to I have to buy you guys out of the portion of the PA so I can store it, And eventually that's what I did. And then my wife was looking at me. I have a garage full of audio gear and mics and stands and this. And she says, what are you going to do with it all? I said, I don't know, rent it. And that's really how I got started doing live sound. I said, well, I'll rent it. She says, do you know how to do any of that? And I said, no, but how bad can it be? You just,
can't be that hard.
Can't be that hard. It's like tuning a stereo, right? So those are what I was taught. I used to get paid $50 a night. For my PA and my engineering capabilities.
Ooh,
$50 a night.
That's not great.
Yeah, it was.
And you had to haul everything.
I had to haul everything.
Yeah.
I'd have to hire like some 2 local kids, give them tickets to the show or something, passes. But that's how I literally fell into it. It was like I had no idea what I was going to do. I figured I'd just go back to being an auto mechanic. I love music. I mean, I always did. But it, you got responsibilities, so.
What do you consider your first, so you're renting this equipment out and everything, but what do you consider like your first break? What pushed you over the edge, that first opportunity, like, you know what, I could really do this, I'm good at this, there's money to be had? What was that first opportunity?
There was a band on Long Island at the time, a band called Syntron. And I got to the point where I decided that I was going to sell the PA and stop lugging all this equipment around. And a friend of mine who I used to hire at the time, he was a lighting guy, did the same thing. He had a van with a light system, and he would rent himself, and we would both do gigs together. You know, I wasn't a sound and lighting company. I was just me and him. So I told him, I said, I'm going to sell the PA system. He says, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to just rent myself out as an engineer. And he said, no one's going to hire you to rent yourself. They want a PA with the, you know, you have to come with the. I said, no, I think that, you know, there's clubs out there have PAs already in there. You know, the guy, not everybody carries a PA. I said, I'm going to try and, you know, just hire myself out as an engineer. After I sold the PA system, I opened up a 8-track recording studio in my house to my poor wife. Anyway, so that's where the money from the PA went and bought this 8-track Atari and a small sound workshop console. And I started doing demos. The demos led me doing live sound for a bunch of bands that were doing demos in my studio. And that's really when I started getting to the point where I said, I have to quit my job, because it was just literally getting way too much. I was gigging, doing gigs at night, doing recording sessions into the wee hours of the night, and getting up and going to work. There was even times when I would go do a show, because back in those days, bands in New York, they didn't go on until 11 o'clock midnight, and you did 4 40-minute sets.
Yep.
So that's 4 o'clock in the morning. Some of these shows were in Port Jervis, New York. So by the time I had to get back to Long Island to go to work, I literally drove to work, parked the van in front of the garage door, and went to sleep. My boss would have to come out and says, hey, Carl, it's time to go back to work. Come on, get up. Yeah, people are showing up. Come on, you can't park here. So it got to the point where one day they handed me a job as an auto mechanic. They handed me a particular type of job that I just hated. And that was 1986, in fact. And I took the repair order, and I just looked at I said, nah, I'm not doing this. That's literally it. I just said, nah, I'm not doing this.
I'm done.
I'm out of here. I'm done.
What the key question is, what was the repair job?
Honestly, I can tell you, it's a 1986 S10 Chevy S10 Blazer rear main seal. Google it, everybody. See how long it takes. Rear main seal on an S10 Blazer, 1986, and you'll understand why I said, yeah, I'm not doing this.
So at this time, you are still basically, you're not traveling on the road. Everything's still local. So what came first? Was the big break, doing like a national act, front of the house sound, the tour, or getting, was the recording studio something that took off? What happened next?
After my wife recovered from me telling her I quit my job, the studio, I had some big names in the studio. I started getting, patting myself on the back. I started getting a reputation of getting great drum sounds. Why? Because I'm a drummer. But I mean, I really pay attention to the drums. I had Bobby Rondinelli in my demo studio. I had a bunch of people, a lot of Long Island bands, and people started coming in. I was only 8-track at the time. I wasn't 24-track, anything like that, And that kept on going. And like I said, I was doing a lot of live shows. I did Rondinelli with his band. It was his whole family. The name of the band was Rondinelli. And Cintron, and who else did I work for? Danger Danger was a band that at the time was called Hot Shot.
Okay.
And they were a local tri-state area band. And I just kept on doing that. And finally, I started working for, am I allowed to mention company names?
Yeah.
Does it matter? Okay. Yeah. There's a company on Long Island, RSA Audio, Rock Systems Audio. And there was a bunch of engineers and guys there that I knew, and I started kind of freelance with them, doing some shows and whatnot. It wasn't a lot, but it was my way into the professional sound company thing. And then a lot of people say, well, why don't you just work for them full time? I said, because I don't want to run cable. I want to mix shows. That's why. I just want to move faders. I want to mix band. So if I go work for them full time, that's why I stayed freelance. I said, no, I don't want to work full. I said, I'm going to be
Yeah.
repairing speakers in the shop or something like that. So I stayed just doing freelance engineering work on Long Island and bands and whatnot. And I guess the actual biggest break I did demos with a guy named Tommy Henriksen, who is now the guitar player for Alice Cooper. And he called me up, and he just joined the band Warlock.
Wow.
And he said, "Do you want to come out and mix front of house for Warlock?" And I said, "Well, how would I do that?" Because the person that was mixing him at the time was a guy named Mike Murphy. He did work for RSA. Mike had to come home for whatever reason. I don't think it was an emergency, but he did want to come off the road. And RSA didn't have anybody to go. Tommy knew me, so therefore he asked if I could go and operate RSA's equipment for Warlock. And I said, "Gee, what does that mean?" Touring was never something I didn't understand touring. I really did. I also got into, obviously you can tell by the fact that I was 10 years an auto mechanic. I got into this business really late. Most guys get into this business at the ages of 18, 19. Here I am, right. 35 or 30. I don't remember. I'd have to do the math. I know I'm getting long-winded here,
no,
but
you're fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, I fly up to Toronto, which was a gas. I said, "Wow, I've never been on a plane before, really." And I go up there. First I got to say, oh, that's right. I go up there to do the show. Mike Murphy, wonderful guy, funny as hell. But basically it says, "Well, here it is. That's what you have to do. I got to catch a plane. See ya." So I flew in that afternoon. He's got a flight that night to go home, and I'm doing my first show the next day. And Tommy was there with this. He said, "Well, you gonna be able to do this?" I said, "I don't know." Sure, absolutely.
Got it.
So I remember telling my wife, there's a part of the story that makes, she says, "What do you mean touring? What does that mean?" And I said, I said, "Well, I know that I have a flight, tonight or whatever the day was." I said, "And I have to fly to Toronto." I said, "But I don't get back for a month." And she goes, "Are you kidding me? What are you thinking of? What is wrong? What do you mean touring? What is that?" So I said, "Well, it's temporary." That's what I said. It's temporary. So she goes, "Well, all right. How temporary?" I said, "Just this month thing." I said, "It'll help my career, on Long Island," and because she was already wigging out the fact that I quit my job, 2 years earlier and whatnot. So she gets the first paycheck because I told her, I said, "Well, where do you want your paycheck?" I said, "Send it to my house, send it to my wife." So like a week and a half later, she goes, "How much are they paying you?" And we'll leave that to the wayside at the moment. And I said, "That much." She says, "How long you got to do this for?" I said, "Well, just a month." She says, "Does it go any longer?" And I go, "What do you mean by that?" And she says, "Well, there's some things I want to get, and this check is really nice." I said, "Oh, so the change of career is okay now?" She said, "Well, yeah, kind of. Me and Macy's have a great date going on."
Yeah, we got a thing going.
So that really solidified pretty much what was going to happen. And from there, Warlock opened up for Megadeth. I literally went from the clubs in Long Island to an arena and was told, "Here, mix this show." And I was like, I never looked back. And I literally had almost every show I did after that was in some form of live shed, arena, large theater. I never went back, and I'm used to doing like 100-seat clubs.
Yeah. And it's funny, kind of like how the circle goes, because you talk about Tommy kind of helping you get your first break, and well, a little side thing is he was in a band in the mid '90s. Was one of my favorite shows I ever saw. It was a band called Parade of Losers, and they were like a rock punk band, but they were awesome. But anyways, like you said, he is the guitarist with Alice Cooper now, but he also, if my memory serves me correct, Carrie Kelly has a side band called A New Revenge, and I think he either co-wrote some of the tracks or produced.
Oh, he probably did.
Or produced that record. So just the whole.
Yeah, no, he's been around for years. Before he got, I didn't follow him that much, but before he got into Alice Cooper, we actually ran into each other years later. He was doing a lot of writing and producing, and I don't remember if he was in Nashville or not, or L.A. I think he was in L.A. where he was based. Yeah, he did a lot of stuff before you, but yeah, he's really the reason I did all his demos. I could play them for you, to his embarrassment probably. Yeah, I mean, and it just went on from there because Warlock here's a story. I went from Warlock to mixing Megadeth. We opened for Megadeth, and during that period of time that Warlock was opening for Megadeth, Dave Mustaine comes out front and says, out the front of the house, and he goes, "After Warlock is done, what are you doing?" And I said, "Going home." And the tour ended.
Yeah.
And the day the next day is a flight home, and I think, well, that's it. The tour manager for Megadeth calls me at the hotel and says, "There's a ticket downstairs waiting for you. You're flying back to Los Angeles if you're willing to work for Megadeth." So I never even went home. Yeah. Called my wife on the phone and said, this is going a little longer. She said, "How much longer?" I said, "I don't know yet." I said, "But there's X amount of dollars more coming per week."
Have a safe trip.
Exactly.
Oh, great. There's this new store that opened up.
I'll send you some more
This is
clothes.
great. She says, I can move up from Macy's to Nordstrom's or Lord Taylor or something. You're right. So, so I went and worked for Megadeth. And then, like I said, it's just been a long...
So...
Yeah, Carl, can I ask just a quick, and Josh, I don't know if you're heading this direction or not, but I wanted to ask, just quickly, is there a big difference in mixing engineering in like a club versus an arena, like for you, or is it still the same, just a bigger scale, or is it you have to take a lot of things into account?
There's a lot of the biggest problem most engineers will tell you is you're a slave to the room.
Right.
Okay. If it's a big room and an enclosed, like an enclosed arena, there's a lot of reverb in that room. I'm sure you've all gone into an empty room and clapped your hands and you can hear the reverberation. Engineers fight that. They have to tune the PA to basically take the hot spots out of the room. Obviously, in a club, you don't have that cavernous volume of air. So, yeah, it's involved, but it's common sense. If I'm mixing a show in a small club, I add reverb and delays to make it sound big. It's really funny. I'm trying to make it sound like it's in an arena. When I'm actually in an arena, I am not running all those delays and reverbs because I have the natural room ambience, so I have to tighten it up.
And then when you do a shed, then because it's outdoor,
I add a lot of stuff.
Effects, right?
A lot of stuff because there's no reflection.
There's no bounce,
Right, it just comes out and
keeps going.
It just keeps going and it sounds dry as hell. So there's a lot of reverb and delays used in live, sheds and whatnot. But yeah, it changes. Every show is different. Every single one. Every room is different.
Oh, that's crazy.
How did you get from Megadeth to the Replacements?
This is actually because it's all the same tour manager. In this industry, people, once you become familiar with somebody and they like the way you work, well, they bring you along. They keep, listen, so when the tour manager from Megadeth left Megadeth, I went home after the Megadeth tour. We had done a whole bunch of shows. We did Monsters of Rock in Donington.
Oh, wow.
There's another Google point. The largest PA ever amassed at an outdoor show. This was the loudest PA I have ever mixed on. I mixed it in front of 500,000 people. I don't remember the exact number. Guns N' Roses was on that show. So was David Lee Roth and Kiss. It was Iron Maiden was headline.
Yeah.
I think it was 89, Donington 89. But it's in the Guinness World Book of Records. Looking at, I'm sure everybody knows amplifiers, and they have the little LEDs or VU meters. You see the thing,
Yep.
when Guns N' Roses was on stage, I went under the stage to look at the amp racks, which is where all the amp for the speakers were, and I was looking, and it's like, out of a spectrum of like, I don't know, 1 to 10, it was literally just tickling the first 2 LEDs. I mean, there was that much headroom available as far as an amplifier goes, and it was loud. I mean, it had to be 116 dBs down at the front of house. I mean, down at the stage level, and the amps were just cruising. You know, it was nothing was in overload, nothing like that. It was just cruising at 116 dBs. I was like, oh, wow.
You didn't get hit with any feces, did you?
No. The famous thing there is because they like drinking beer in England. I think you've probably heard. And in order to relieve themselves, they bring 5-gallon jugs of empty jugs, and when they're done with it, they just throw it up on the stage.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question. I forgot where I was going with this. But,
so, well, as we was talking about the replacements.
Oh yeah.
Is there?
So the tour manager.
Is there?
He's the one in hide.
Is there a big difference? Creating the sound for bands like Megadeth and Warlock versus a band like the Replacements, or is it pretty much just the same? Even though, yes, they're different, somewhat genres, but it's at the base, it's still guitars, drums, vocals.
Yeah, I mean at the base of it, it's still a guitar, bass, drum, and whatnot. It's just the attitudes are obviously different. The tonal qualities are different. With the Replacements, I was actually a monitor engineer. I didn't do front of house for the Replacements the first time. And the reason the tour manager called me up because he said, "Can you do monitors?" I said, "Well, I've done them, but I wouldn't say that I'm really, great at it. I didn't want to get into the monitor world. That's an entirely different world, and I'm glad Howard is doing it with Night Ranger and not me. Not that they're bad. It's no fun. You're mixing for 5 guys. I want to mix for everybody. I get to be everybody. When I mix front of house, I get to be the guitarist, I get to be the drummer, I get to be the vocalist, I get to be whoever I want to be because I am the one mixing it, so I have more fun. But he called me up, the tour manager for Megadeth, and who's no longer, and now he's tour managing the Replacements, and he says, "I need a front of house guy in Monitor World." And I go, "Why?" He says, "Because these guys are so loud on stage. I need someone that can tune the monitors loud enough so that they can hear themselves." I said, "The Replacements are loud?" He says, "Ungodly loud."
Really?
Yeah, these guys, the Replacements back then, Paul Westerberg would literally walk up to his Marshall and just, if you know anything about guitars, there's preamp gain and then there's volume and whatnot. Well, they didn't use the preamp. They used the full volume. In other words, it would be full on, full tilt, wide open. No preamp gain to, get that crunch. This is just a wide open Marshall.
Yeah.
100 watt Marshall full on. And same thing, Tommy, same thing when he played Tommy Stinson on bass. Slim on guitar, and Chris Mars on drums. But yeah, they were loud. They were 109 dBs on stage. So the idea was, he figured, well, if I get a front of house guy that knows frequencies, he can get in there and really get it loud so they can still hear themselves sing. And so that's how I got that gig, because supposedly I could get it loud enough.
And did it work? Did you?
Yeah, it did work.
And
there's a phone. The reason I got, and they didn't hire me because of my talent or anything, or even I was recommended. It really wasn't. It was Paul Westerberg. They're straight. If you ever read, I'm sure you've known about these guys, read books or articles. They're a bunch of, they were literally just off the charts, in your face, post-punk, whatever you want to call it, just bouncing off the walls. And the reason I got hired is because Paul, when I met. When the tour manager said, "You got to meet him first," I said, "They're not just going to hire you off the bat." I said, "They have to meet me first?" I said, "Yeah." It's okay, fine, that's cool. So I walk into the hotel room where Paul Westerberg and Tommy Stinson are sitting, and they're looking at me. They say, "Okay." Paul goes to the closet and again hands me a purple plaid or smoking jacket, and he also hands me a pair of pants that were plaid but a different color. Says, put these on. And I looked at the tour manager, and I'm going like, are you for real with this? What? And he's going like this. So I put them on, and Westerberg goes, yeah, he'll do.
What the hell's
That's it.
that?
I got hired because I had the smoking jacket. The reason was I found out later on, actually, the monitor desk started getting increasingly more on the stage because he wanted to look right at me if he needed something, understanding. So he said, if you're going to be on stage with us, now my console is now on stage left, literally on the stage.
Yeah.
So if I have to be on stage, I have to dress the part. That was the whole idea.
Gotcha.
So that's how that and
very odd audition.
it was great. I
He
loved
fits
it.
the costume.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was a great tour. I mean,
So working with because right after that you worked with Danger, Giant, Prong, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Is that again following a tour manager, or how does these jobs line up?
that was between, but by that time I was starting to get gigs between not promoters, band managers, and word of mouth. Someone said, hey, I saw this guy mix this show there, you should give him a call, find out who he is. Or it was more word of mouth by that time. It wasn't a specific tour manager or band management. You know, it's just I was starting to get calls, which was great. You know, it felt good. But as you can see, the acts were varied. You know, some acts.
Yeah.
I started falling into the heavy. The Megadeth thing probably kind of pigeonholed me for a while because I started getting bands like Prong, Life of Agony, Fear Factory. In between there, peppered with White Lion and Danger.
Yeah.
And Giant. Giant was a great gig. I mean, from a mixing point of view, that was a great gig. That band, Dan Huff, and everybody. It was funny. I was like, I remember when the record came out, I was working for a band called Soraya.
Oh, yeah, Sandy Soraya.
Sandy Soraya, right. And while I was working with them, this band Giant came out, and I can't remember the title track.
See You in Your Dreams.
See You in My Dreams.
Something like that.
Yep.
And I said, wow, this band is great. I said, I'd love to work with that band. You know, 2 months later, I got a call to work with that band. I was like, I was in like seventh heaven. This is great.
Well, hold on. We can't gloss over White Lion for a minute.
I
love White Lion.
What's weird is you mentioned Dan Huff, and I think Brad's working on an album with Dan Huff. Or
really, I didn't know.
It's the.
We'll edit that out.
It's that one that we talked about. That they said the band name was Skills now or something.
Okay.
Supposed to come out next year, but I'm pretty sure Dan Huff was the drummer for that.
His brother. Is it Mike? He has a brother, Mike Huff. Is it Mike Huff?
Well, maybe.
No, it can't be Mike. Dan is a session guitarist from Nashville, and his brother was the drummer. I'm sure I have his name wrong.
Well, one of the Huff guys from that Giant band is going to be on an album with Brad. So
wait, how great was it to sit and watch Vito Bratta play guitar every night
Horrible.
for White Lion? Come on.
I did monitors again. I did monitors for White Lion. This was another one of those I'm on stage deals.
So were you doing monitors for the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones? Because
no.
they have the guy, the dancer guy, who is my favorite.
That's Joe Ciros. Yes.
I love watching the Boss Tones only for the fact I don't know a lot of their music.
Oh no, that's the drummer. The drummer's Joe Ciros.
The dancer for the Common Man, the guy
Right,
just
yeah.
Right.
I love the concept of a guy that just sits on like a hype man.
That's it. He's the
Well, he was like Jerome for Morris Day in the time, you know.
One of my all-time favorite songs is "The Impression That I Get" by the Boss Tones. So that's
right.
That's so cool.
No, that was again through a band management company. I got that gig that I had worked on another band in the management company. They thought I'd be a good fit. So that's White Lion though. Vito Bratta. I'll tell you a short story about.
He's disappeared. He doesn't play anymore.
I don't know where. Last I heard, he still has his Lamborghini Testarossa parked, Countach. I mean, in his mom's garage in Staten Island. So I don't know.
He just walked away from it all.
Yeah, he bought that with the proceeds from the White Lion Pride album, and
Yeah,
I don't
great album.
I don't think he ever spent another dime.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, but yeah, I'll tell you a short story. Doing monitors for White Lion was a hoot. Uh, Greg D'Angelo, the drummer in White Lion, was we had the wrong. I had done monitors for White Lion here. We supported Cinderella, so here I am again in an arena. Right, there's a lot of stories with this. Mike Tramp, great singer, but like most singers, after they're an hour in, it gets tired. They get tired, you know. So it's hard. Some of them, it's hard to keep that level of volume going.
Yeah.
So you'd have to kind of move the volume up towards the end of the show, you know. And he was just complaining that it just wasn't loud enough. He couldn't hear his voice on stage loud enough. Cinderella had these in the front truss over the stage in these arenas. There's a truss with all the lighting. They had two speaker cabinets in there, and they used to call them DFAs. And it stood for Death from Above. So Mike Tramp had, you know, all his monitor wedges in front of him, and you'll love this name. There was the monitor engineer for Cinderella at the time. His name was Phil, and his nickname was Side Phil. Side Phil is the side Phil's on the stage, but that was his nickname anyway. So he came up to me. He said he saw I was having trouble. This is what happens when guys in the industry help other guys. So he says. He says, listen, I said, we have these speakers in the truss. We call them DFAs. He says, I'm going to allow you, I'll patch it into your console so you can use it with White Lion. And I said, oh, that's great. That's awesome. You know, so we do a sound check one day. Phil is there next to me. She saw it. We're doing a sound check, and Mike is singing and this, that, and the other thing. And he's looking at me going, can you bring it up just a little more? And Phil goes, watch this. And he just hits the button for the two cabinets up in the truss, and it was like all of a sudden he went, oh Jesus Christ. He's talking in a microphone, and it's like the voice of God, you know. So after that, he wasn't complaining about the volume on stage.
That's awesome.
So
well, and quickly, as you know, Lomenzo, the bass player for White Lion, ended up being in Megadeth down the road.
That's right. In fact, who else? It's funny, when I worked with Megadeth, Nick Menza was the drum tech, who later on became the drummer in Megadeth. Tragic as his life was, but at that time, he was a load of fun. Mm-hmm. He was a load of fun. Excuse me.
So how do you make the transition, because you're the front of the house engineer, and then you make a transition to being a tour manager? How does that transition come about?
Necessity, really. A lot of the bands at that time were all. I was doing like a lot of support. Bands who were supporting bigger acts in arenas and large sheds, whatever. And the idea of, I've always been good with numbers. I'm honest, so I don't steal anybody's money. And I guess it just, I always looked at the fact that, well, you can't be a sound guy forever. At some point your ears will fail or something. I said I should, if I'm going to stay in this industry, I should try to up my skills and, and whatnot. So I started doing, I was production manager with the Replacements on their second tour. And then I just started grabbing more skills, figuring, who knows where this is going to go. And I just quit Prong to do Dream Theater, mainly because it was, instead of mixing front of house, which actually I found out later, it's really what I like doing. Tour managers, and it's overrated, and it's a lot of work. But at that time, it was the money was right, and I had the skills to do it, and I did it. I wouldn't recommend it unless you're of that ilk. I wouldn't recommend it, But it was just more necessity. Anything else, gigs come up. Yeah, well, can you do tour managing? Yeah, sure. Can you be a monitor engineer? Yeah. Can you be a front of house guy? Yeah. Can you do all three? No.
Yeah.
Can't. Sure.
Negative Ghost Rider.
Can't do it. But
So you were a tour manager for Dream Theater, which is I think we had talked previously that we probably crossed paths because I saw Dream Theater when you were tour managing them and on Halloween of '94.
That's correct.
So you do the tour managing for a while. I think it shows on here that you also was a tour manager for Sabotage.
I have to look myself. Yeah.
And one that kind of jumps out is in 1997, you work with Prince. How does that come about?
Let's just say that I was the 8th sound engineer on that Jam of the Year tour, right? So it was there was a Todd Confessori, which was my illustrious tour manager with Night Ranger until he passed, was working with Prince at the time, and Prince was going through front of house engineers like we change our underwear. So he called me up. He says, "Are you willing and able?" I said, "Prince, sure, why not? Who would say no?" Right. And he said, "Before you say that," he says, "You're going to be like the 8th guy." I said, and I asked him, I said, "Do you think I could do it?" He says, "Well, I think you're capable of doing it." And he says, "I don't know if you'll stay, but I think," I said, "All right, fine." So anyway, long story short, yeah, I show up, and Prince is a strange dude, man. I got to tell you, he's just a strange dude. There's no getting away around. I didn't have a name. I was literally called Number 8. That was my name, right? So I do a sound check with him, and he had a very unique way of doing sound check, which he used to have his silver-plated or gold-plated Shure SM58 microphone, wireless, whatever, and he would whisper like this. We go, "Kick drum," to the guys on the stage, his band, and I'd like, did I do something wrong? He said, "No, he's telling his drummer to play the kick drum so I can EQ the kick drum in the front," because he's standing next to me. So you can't talk to him either. There's a tour manager. There's an intermediator. I can't directly go to Prince and say, "Hey, how do you?" God is my witness. I said, listen, he's a strange dude. I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave that out there. He's a strange dude. So I can't go to him directly and say, "Do you like that kick drum? Do you want more, whatever frequency?" Or no, I can't. I have to talk to Willie, the tour manager. So I tell Willie, "Is that what he wants? Is that Prince is Sir? He is named Sir. There's no name. There's no Prince. There's no umlaut or whatever."
His name.
Yeah, his logo. Willie goes literally in front of me. He says, "Sir, is that the kick drum that you would like?" Prince tells him, "I would like a little more 100 hertz, please." Willie turns around and looks at me and goes, "Carl, Sir would like a little more 100 hertz." I said, "You got to be fucking kidding me, right? This is how this is going to work." I'm sorry if I cursed. I didn't.
No, you're all right.
But that's literally what I said. And Prince was like, he spoke. And Willie says, "I'll take care of it, sir." So anyway, we get through the sound check. Every night, he used to record the show every night.
Yeah.
Right? There would literally be a 2-track recorder out in front house. Dad tapes at the time. Yeah. And a minute before the show would end, 2 very big security guys would come out the front of house and take the tape before I could hear them. Take the show so that Prince could listen to it in his bus and see how the show that I did went. And this went on every night. And on the 4th show, I was tuning the PA. I didn't know Prince wasn't in the building yet because I usually announce it. So I'm tuning the PA, and believe it or not, because I just came off a tour with Cinderella, I was using, I like Cinderella, I like some of their songs, I think some of their records sound good, so sometimes I play it in the PA system so I can hear the PA sound the way, if it's sounding the way I like. And he comes in, and he questions what I'm playing, so after that I lost the name of Number 8 to Cinderella Man. That was now my name for the rest of the tour. That as long as I was there, I was Cinderella Man. So,
you should have at least said it's Sir Cinderella Man to you.
Well, yeah, I should have. But believe me, I got fired from that gig. I was not the only guy.
I was going to ask, was there a number 9?
There was. I got fired from that gig because I literally turned around and like spoke to him.
How dare you?
We were in, I can't remember, it was either El Paso or some cow palace. I can't remember but it had this room was the worst room in the world. Had a dirt floor that they had put plywood over, and it was a concrete round room with a dome ceiling. Oh my God, there was the frequencies in that room would just hang out. The concert ended at 11, and you could still hear the concert the next day if you went into that room. That's how
Just bouncing around.
just bouncing around. So anyway, so I'm in there and I'm having a hard time with this particular, and we're doing a sound check, and he comes and he's doing his whisper thing to the band, and I have to do a sound check with like one side of my headphone off,
Yeah.
so I can hear him, speak, because I have his vocal channel soloed in my headphone, because otherwise I'd never hear him. So he started questioning something, and Willie's, relaying it to me, and I finally I didn't push Willie aside, but I just kind of grabbed his shoulder and kind of nudged him over, and I said, "What exactly is it you want, Prince?" Well, that was that.
A new sound engineer is what I want.
New sound engineer.
Wow.
That's really it. Funny enough, I'll tell you, this sort of, for those that know, like, great sound engineers and whatnot, the sound engineer that replaced me, and only for 2 weeks because he had another gig to go to, was Robbie Scoville from Rush fame and Tom Petty.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He said he came in, and I couldn't get a flight out, so they had to keep me on the bus. So I actually got to meet him. I had a board tape of the show, and I handed it to him. I said, "Here, you're going to need this." And he says, "I'm not staying." I said, I have to go and do Madonna in 2 weeks. I'm just here to fill in, I guess. I don't know. But it was, Robert Scoville. It was, I've spoke to him since, and we've had some fun on that particular basis.
So Prince, you list some of the bands that you had mentioned: Fear Factory and Anthrax, Life of Agony. But a band that you spent a lot of time with, you started working for Foghat, Lonesome Dave and the Boys. How did that come about?
Pretty much the same way. Someone, I don't know if it was Todd that knew somebody, but Paul Spriggs was the tour manager at the time, and a good friend of mine was doing lights, a guy named Christopher McGuire, who was also a lot of fun. And anyway, so my name came up, and I guess they called me, and I said, sure, why not? And it was all the original members at the time, which was great. It was, but in I think there was 95 or 96, no one could give a shit less about Foghat.
Right.
Oh, I mean, we were doing 200-seat clubs. And I said, "Oh God, it's like I'm going backwards." I went from doing arenas to, but it was fun. They paid decent. I'm not going to say that it wasn't anywhere near Prince, but hey, a gig's a gig sometimes. There wasn't anything else around, and sure, why not? And it turned into something that. I was sick and tired. By that time, I was starting to get tired of touring. Getting on a bus and being gone for 4 months, coming home and whatnot. And for the first 2 years I worked at Foghat, they were on a bus tour, but it wouldn't be a long one. It'd be 2 months and then off.
Yeah.
And I would jump on other tours. For the first 2 years that I worked with them, I was kind of dovetailing Foghat into Life of Agony, into this, into next, whatever. By 1999, I was getting really tired of hopping on a bus and being gone from my wife for 4 months at a time, and Foghat turned into basically a weekend warrior act. Lonesome Dave passed in 2000, I think, which kind of screwed the pooch for a while. They had to get a new singer. They got Charlie Hume from Victory, and used to sing with Nugent. Mm-hmm. And then it was comfortable. I hate to admit it, it was comfortable. I didn't have to get on a bus, fly to a show, do 2 or 3 shows, come home on the weekend. I'm home every week, mow the lawn.
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah, I mean that's really why it was comfortable. It really the great band, great people. I mean, later on we lost Rod Price to a heart attack, and then Brian Bassett, who used to play the guitars. He used to be in Wild Cherry, play that funky music, White Boy.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So Brian's an excellent guitar player, great slide guitar player, and a beautiful personality as well. And it just was a good fit. It went on year after year after year. And to be honest with you, the rest of the industry just forgot of it. I mean, people used to say, "Call Carl." I said, "Nah, forget it. He's with Foghat. He ain't going anywhere." So like the phone calls started dwindling through the years, also. So.
Plus, you get to hear Slow Ride and Stone Blue every night.
Full for the City.
Yeah, for 14 years.
Now, Carl, I got a question for you.
Okay.
You have covered the spectrum of music.
Pretty much.
And I don't want you to name any acts, but how hard is it coming in, running a sound for a band, and you just cannot stand their music? I mean, that's got to be like nails on the chalkboard at times.
It is. I mean, there is definitely bands that I would say this is not my cup of tea. I would not. But work is work. I always found it a way that no matter how, even if it's something that I don't particularly care for, even if it's something, a chorus or a verse line, there's some line or some melody in a certain song that I can key off of that lights my whistle. I mean, lights my whatever up. And once I find that, then I just expand it from there and apply it to the rest of the songs. And I've never been able not to find one. Let's put it that way. No matter how bad the music is that I consider, in my opinions, and boy, this sucks, I hate it. But I've always been able to find some melody line in one of their band songs or some verse, usually a melody. It's not lyrically. I'm talking melody wise. I'm able to key in on it, and from there I expand from there. And it's still an instrument. Still got to be mixed loud. I know how the genre should sound.
Mm-hmm.
But from a liking point of view, I've always managed to find some song in the repertoire that I can key off of. And
I get that. I remember when I was a kid, I worked at a record store, and this guy would come in and play Warren Zevon's Sentimental Hygiene every day. And I was not. And by the time I left that store as a kid, I knew every lyric to every song. I have the CD upstairs. It's great. Couldn't stand it when I first heard it the first 100 times, So I get it.
There's something to be said about repetition too.
Yeah.
It grows after a while. It's, all right, this song ain't half bad. Or whatever.
See, bro, I thought you were going to ask about Anthrax because that's your wheelhouse.
Oh, I love Anthrax. Anthrax is great.
I'll tell you a real short story. That Anthrax, I was mixing front of house for Life of Agony. I think, what the hell was the name of the tour? With Anthrax Behind the 8 Ball tour or something with an 8 ball. And because I was doing front of house, Anthrax either they didn't want to incur a lot of costs or something. Anyway, they asked if I would do monitors for them. Since you're out here anyway, and you've done monitors before, what could you do monitors for us? So I would literally go from front of house mixing Life of Agony, and the show would stop, and I'd literally go from front of house to backstage to the monitor desk and start running monitors for the upcoming Anthrax show. I'll never do that again. Just never again. I can't remember. Scott Ian, is that his name?
Scott Ian.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. He is definitely a sweetheart. He's one of the nicest guys I've met in this industry. The singer at the time, they've had 2 singers. I'm not really a fan. Not a fan. I don't really know much about Anthrax other than when I worked for them.
Yeah, it was John Bush then.
Okay, John. He was a bit of a handful.
He's not listening. You can say.
I mean seriously, he was a bit of a handful to mix monitors for. It was very intense following him on the stage where he went and whatnot, because we didn't have in-ears back then. So if he ran over stage right, I'd have to raise the volume on the stage right side fill or something. So it was, and he was a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. So
And I met them, God, when they were open for Judas Priest a couple years back.
Right.
And I could not believe how short those guys were. Because I thought Frank Bello was huge on my TV, and he walked, and I'm an easy 6 inches taller than him, and I'm looking down at everybody.
The magic of theater. So
Yeah.
It was,
I've always said that Scott Ian, Jack Blades, and Eric Singer are my 3 favorite rock stars because those were the guys I towered over.
Yeah, take it taller than.
Yeah, I won't tell Jack you said that.
But well, I'll find out soon enough if he's listening. If we get a cease and desist, or don't let this guy in the venue.
Well, surely Jack's a subscriber, so we know he's listening.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, he's already heard the Melissa Gong story. We talked about that. There's an Asian girl that caught his pants. They threw his pants out during a video shoot for the crowd, and they fit her.
Yeah,
she's on the page. It's great.
How about that?
So you get into this gig with Foghat, and you kind of mentioned that I don't know if complacent is the word, but your phone stopped ringing. You became comfortable. You're able to go home during the week. How did that though end? Because your gig with Foghat ended after 10 years or so. Was it a change that you wanted to make, or was it just something you could only listen to slow ride so many times in your life and you hit that magical limit?
I think there was some of that. Let's face it, Foghat is a finite band as far as repertoire and whatnot. So, yeah, I think it was more travel than anything else. It was just a bad year. I had quit once. I actually quit. Is really what happened, and it has nothing to do with the members of the band or anything like that. It was just things that were going on at the time. I quit in 2007 for whatever reason. I think I actually tried doing just a home gig, staying literally home and finding local work or whatever. And I remember Roger called me up about 9 months later, or no, I don't even think it was 9 months, maybe 4 months or whatever. And he said, Carl, listen, we kind of would like to have you back. We'll pay you more money. And that's, so I went back.
Yeah. Heck yeah, you did.
And then in 2011, we had just gone through a bunch of really bad travel shows, all right? And it seemed like my flights were getting canceled all the time. It took me 3 days to get home from one show because of flight cancellations and whatnot. So the one show, Roger comes on. He's a sweet guy. If you ever get a chance, other than to interview, he's just a sweetheart, right? The whole band is a sweetheart. I can't say anything bad about them because it was more me than anything else, but he comes up to me because I just got noticed that my flight is canceled. Now the rest of the band is going home; their flights are not canceled. Yeah. And I looked at him, and he goes, "Is there something I can do for you?" And I said, "No." I said, "I've just fucking had it." And he goes, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah, this sucks. I quit." And that's exactly how it ended. Finally got home, and I say this with a grain of salt. After 15 years with that band, they had a sound engineer before I landed.
Whoa.
So.
You meant a lot to him.
I'll just leave that out there.
I was gonna say I like your style. Be it either the rear seal of a S10 Blazer or fed up with touring.
Dude, sometimes you're just
like,
to...
I've had it.
Wait. I've been like that my entire. Believe me, there's been gigs I've lost because of outlandish statements that I've said or something like that. Yeah, I am definitely very. You got to take me with a grain of salt. I guess. But yeah, listen. Yes, there's money to be made in this industry, but I truly enjoy what I do. I really do. Yeah. I love mixing rock and roll or whatever, and it's. I wouldn't say this out loud, but I wouldn't, sometimes I do it for free. Yeah. Because I just love it so much. But,
well, I would say it's
we will find out very soon if Jack is listening.
Right. Wait a minute. Jack's calling me on the phone. Wait,
I heard that. I got a patch feed in there. Yeah, I'd say just because, all of us are fans of music, obviously, and live shows. And, there's times I would do I would do it just to be a at that venue or just to see live music every night, I would love it. I just love it.
about the first 2 or 3 nights. After that, trust
Right,
me,
but then
it
you got
would
to pay
wear
the
off.
bills. Suddenly,
Yeah, when your bank
Visa
account
is
starts
not-
dwindling a little bit, like
East
wait a
is not
second.
real hip to my hobby.
Right.
So the Replacements, they get back
Yeah.
together, and they give you a call like, "Hey,
Yep.
we hear."
Well, I kept in touch with Tommy Stinson through the years, on and off, and actually that way off, not on and off, just way off. Every once in a while, it would a blip on the radar, and we would be in contact with each other. So I lived upstate New York. He happened to move to the town that I lived in, upstate New York. I didn't know he was there. And all of a sudden I see in the local rag that he's doing a benefit at this club to hurricane for Haiti when Haiti had that big hurricane. And all right. So, and I said, I can't believe he's in this town where I live. So I get in touch with his manager and I say, listen, I'm not some stalker or anything. Tell Tommy to get in touch with me. Because his manager didn't know who I was. He said, why are you just trying? I said, no. I said, I used to work for him. I said, trust me. Tell him. So he calls me up, and that started that relationship. I had done a studio record with him for his Bash and Pop band, which is a band that he had prior, after the Replacements broke up. And one thing just led to another. He says, hey, the Replacements getting back together, because Tommy had been playing with GNR for 10 years before putting this reunion tour back together. So he said, you want to mix front of house for the Replacements? I said, sure. That's really what got my name back out in the so-called industry, was by me doing that tour.
Wow.
You know, and that led me to be, ultimately, that's what led me to Night Ranger.
Yeah.
That tour. How's that for a segue, huh?
There we go.
Swiss.
You happy,
Neck hurts.
Josh?
Little
Is that
whiplash
good?
on
Is that good?
That is good. So, very, very rarely does someone reach the pinnacle of their career this late in the game. But
You stumbled into it.
so, how does the Night Ranger gig come about? Did you have a list of like, okay, bands that I are on my dream list? Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Night Ranger. Is that how? That's the romantic in me. That's how it started.
Okay, yeah, that never happened.
He's like, sure, Josh, whatever.
There was never a, yes, there was not a list that was written down. There was some, I pretty much, on knock on wood, I got to work with a lot of bands that I wanted to work with. You know, I don't know if I willed it or if the universe just sensed that I was itching to work with that band. I got to work with a lot of bands that I wanted to work for. During you'll love the segue here. So during Foghat, we did a show, and Night Ranger was, and I can't remember what, somewhere out in Idaho, some festival or something. Anyway, so Foghat's playing one night, and Night Ranger's playing the next night. Todd Confessori, my brother from another mother, from God, way back in the day. He's a tour manager, and he's there early that day, checking out the venue like he does to see if it's adequate for his band. So we run into each other, and I'm there with Chris McGuire, who was also the LD with Foghat at the time, and we're both talking, and I said, man, Night Ranger. I said, I love that band. And we were talking seriously. He says, "Yeah, I know." I said, I could mix the shit out of that band. Yeah. So Todd says, "Well, if you're still here tomorrow night, we're playing. Why don't you just come to the show?" I said, "I can't. I got flights or whatever." I said, "But but me and Chris are talking meanwhile on the side." And I said, "Yeah, I can mix the shit out of that band. Don't tell me you love me and Night Ranger shit." So anyway,
Yeah.
so that was in like, I don't know, probably 2003, maybe. Me and Chris, was that when we saw them? 2005 maybe. Anyway, so yeah, it was kind of weird that Todd called me. He says, your name is coming up in certain circles. What are you doing? Are you working again, or are you just dilly-dallying? I said, are you just getting your feet, or is the Replacement's over? Is that it? You done, or are you going back to Foghat? And I said, no, I'm pretty much done with Foghat. I said, but I don't know. I just don't know if I'm ready to and we talked, and he says, well, he says, is it a money thing? Is it I said, well, yeah, of course, it's always a money thing. There's, you can't do something that it costs you money. I said, but yeah, I don't know. So we spoke a little bit, and then it went away. This was 2015, I think. Came back up again in January of 2016. We were talking. I went down to Long Island because I still lived in New York, and we went out for dinner. And a bunch of friends, bunch of Long Island cats that we all knew. We all went out to dinner. We had a great time. It was a great dinner, and so we started talking. He says, "So, you think maybe Night Ranger's a fit for you?" And I said, "Nah, I'm kind of digging it." I said, "Yeah, let's talk some more." Couldn't come together on things. Just couldn't come together on it. And I said, nah, I think I'll pass for the moment. And a couple of more months went by, and he called me up again. This was like, I guess, maybe April of 2016. Yeah, it's 2 months later, 3 months later from January. And I'm trying to say this like nicely. It had to do with just finances and travel arrangements and whatnot. Anyway, we all came to a compromise and said, fine, that works. Let's do this. I said, the one thing I need is that I need to see the band first. I want to be there when they play. I said, can you get me to a show that I can actually just listen to the band play? I said, I don't need a CD or anything. I said, I want to hear them play. So he says, yeah. I said, come on down. I think they were doing the Florida thing, the Epcot, the Disney thing.
Yeah, the Disney. Yeah.
So I went down there, and I just loved their energy. Yeah. I really did. Because I'd never seen them live. I really hadn't. I have two of their records in my own collection, but it's, when you're in this business, you work and you don't see a lot of people because you're working. Yeah. So it's hard to like congregate together and talk about it. Anyway, so I said, damn. I said, these guys they're the real deal. They're not phoning it in. They're not looking at their watch and going, how many more songs we got? And so I had to meet the band, and the first person I meet is Brad. And Brad's he's basically asking me for my resume, and I'm trying to say, okay, who would Brad like to hear? I said, I'm sure he's not going to give a shit about Life of Agony or Prong. So I said, no. Anyway, so what Night Ranger song do you like? And I said, no, I don't really have a favorite. I said, but I just love the fact that you guys are like dual, guitarists, and you have that. And I said, I don't know. And I started basically humming the song Night Ranger, right? Yeah. So he goes to Jack. He says, dude, the guy's literally humming Night Ranger. I said, this is our guy. I didn't realize I was like humming that song, but anyway.
You didn't wear the smoking jacket in, did you?
No, I didn't have to. I didn't have to wear the smoking jacket. I didn't have to wear the plaid pants.
But he still has to call Jack Blade sir.
I still have to go. Well, yes, there is that.
And you can't speak to Jack directly.
Don't look him in the eye.
I was told that by a certain tour manager of Night Range. He told me that I couldn't talk to Brad directly, and that's when I told him, I said, well, if I can't talk to him directly, then we have a problem. I said, I don't work that way. I said, but that's that story that went, we're fine. I get to talk to everybody, because we all have the same thing in common. We just want to put on a good show, and I get along with everyone. They're a great bunch of guys. I know that a lot of people out there say, oh yeah, no, they're really. Josh, you've met them. Mm-hmm. They're they really are down to earth, great bunch of guys. I mean, Jack and and Brad and Kelly. I mean, Eric he's just quiet.
Yeah.
Well, and
nicest guy in the world, but he's just quiet.
And
of course, Terry.
And that's what was that was what was nice when I met everyone in Houston in May. Was everyone, including the road crew, was genuine, nice, and it makes it easy. There's nothing worse than having to go do something like that, and you have to basically work alongside someone that just makes life a pain in the ass. And I didn't, just in my short time, I didn't get that from any of you guys. So it's a testament to the band and the crew that that's been put together. How well.
A lot of people don't. They really don't understand what goes. I mean, it takes a lot to put forth a show. I mean, a lot of people, depending on the size of the show. I mean, there's carpenters, electricians, there's riggers. I mean, all these people that no one sees. Behind. They go to a show, the lights come down, and the curtain goes up, and all those lights and all that sound rigging had to get put up there somehow. There's an entire community of people that work at a show. I'm lucky enough to have, in our little community, I'm as good as I am because of my crew. They help me out a lot, especially things like tuning drums. Rich is excellent at tuning drums. Makes my job easy. When the signal I get to the board, I listen to the drum, I go, damn, that sounds great. And I just maybe tweak it a little bit or something. So everybody, like Ryan on the guitars, I mean, I don't change what Night Ranger sounds like. My game plan throughout all the years was never to tell an artist what they should sound like. They know what they sound like. They know, if Brad goes up to his rig and plays a couple of chords, he says, yep, that sounds great to me. My job is to take that sound that Brad likes and make sure it's literally copied and amplified out to the audience. It's not my job to say, well, could you do this or do that to it? And that's been my philosophy on every band that ever worked. I don't change what they do. I just take what they do and get it out to the people.
Make it loud.
Make it loud, make it, hopefully musical.
Yeah.
But it takes, like I said, the crew, and of course the band has to play, but the crew's the most important part.
And
but yeah, I mean Howard and Ryan and and Ed, I mean all the things that go on behind the scenes, but mostly I rely on, from a music point of view, I rely on Howard, Rich, and Ryan to get things. Steve, on the other hand, the lighting guy, is a loser. I just can't. No, I'm just Steve, I love you, baby. I'm kidding. He's my brother. He's my
our
brother.
next call in is going to be Steve.
Right.
There'll be someone in between them to on the next show, so they don't have to communicate with each other.
Right. No, me and him have when we start the show, the band backstage and the crew, the band usually has a get together before they go on the stage, and it's the hands in the middle and folded. Everybody, let's rock this show. And there's usually a beverage that goes along with that, prior to.
Yeah.
Me and Steve, since we're out in front of the house and we're nowhere near that backstage area, we have our own ritual. And like I said, I love him to death. He does a phenomenal job with the stuff that he's handed. I can't say he does not get. I'm lucky. Sound is pretty straightforward. I either get a good PA or I get a decent PA or I get a great one. It's rare I get a shitty, sound reinforcement system. Him, on the other hand, gets a load of crap half the time that he has to try and work into his show. So before we do our show every night, when the band is backstage doing their celebratory beginning, me and him look at each other with a beverage, and we look at it. We say, "Do your show." The reason being is that don't let all the minutia around you get in the way. Do this show the best you can. Do your show. That's our signal that we're about to embark on a great evening, even though it may not be the best, but but at least we're ready for it.
I'd like for you to take a couple minutes. We've talked throughout this interview about Todd, the former Night Ranger tour manager, who unfortunately passed away February of 2019, if my memory serves me correct.
Yep.
just tell us, just tell us your thoughts on Todd and how much he meant to you, and because you guys went back a while, even before the Night Ranger world.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right.
Take your time.
Me and Todd go back 1986, 5. He hired me when I had my PA for his band.
Wow.
He was a drummer in a band, and he I remember him saying that when I pulled up at the van, he goes, "That's it? That's the PA?" And I said, "Don't worry, it's high efficiency. Don't worry about it, whatever." Meanwhile, I think like he's paying me $50 for the night or whatever the hell it was. So my wife is there too. My wife she's a grunt. She's running mic cables, wrapping cables, everything.
Yeah.
So he's going, but and she looked at him. She says, "Don't worry about it, kid. It'll be fine." So we get inside. I set up the PA and I start, like I said, I had a 16-channel Kelsey soundboard. You can Google that too for all those that are interested. So I'm setting up the PA and I got it, and I'm playing program material through it loud, and it's like, and he comes in and he goes, "Wow, it does seem to get up there, doesn't it?" I said, yeah. So he's setting up his drums and his band. They're setting up their equipment and everything. And I noticed that his kick drum does not have a hole in it. Right. So I walk up to him. Now it's got a brand new, in Todd's world, this means a lot. Brand new black chrome 24-inch Remo front skin. Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the band's name on it, but it's brand new. And it's this black chrome, and he's just digging the hell out of this. So I go up to him and I said, "Yeah, you're gonna have to cut a hole in that." And I thought he dropped his nuts on the floor. I mean, he says, "What?" I said, "Yeah, you got to cut a hole in it so I can get the microphone in there." I said, "Unless you want it to sound like a pillow." I said, "It's going to sound like shit." So I got a coffee can from the bar, and I said, "Here." I said, "I'm not doing it. You are." And he was so upset that I made him $16 for this thing, whatever it was, And I said, and that was the start of a 35-year career. Was that?
Wow.
And he went on to do Trickster as a drum tech, I think.
Oh yeah.
And then Danger, which is where I came in with Danger, and God, and we just stayed. It was that whole Danger camp has been the mainstay of our Long Island existence forever. Anybody other than Danger was like not afterthoughts, but they were like this circular amount of people. There was always the Danger core. That was me, Todd, Bruno, the bass player, and Danger and whatnot. And we've just been close friends for that. I can call up Bruno and it's like I haven't spoken to him in 6 months, and it'd be like no time has passed at all.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like, so. But Todd was he was my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it's and again that whole circle, how everything comes back. You guys end up, later in the career working for.
Well, I had hired him for Prong because I was a tour manager, and like there was we dovetailed things throughout the years. I hired him for Prong. I hired him as a production manager on Dream Theater, and then from there at 1996, because I went with Foghat and I stayed there so long, we kind of went our separate ways. Still speaking, obviously, on the phone every couple of months, or even once a year or twice a year, depending on because he was off with Toto or this one or that one, and but yeah, we always stayed in touch, and I miss him. I miss him terribly. He was one of a kind. Everybody knows him, and they know what I'm talking about when I say he's one of a kind. So.
Yeah, you said he was a huge Kiss fan?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he working with Danger or Trickster when they opened for Kiss? Do you know? Because he would
yeah. No, when
he'd gone nuts.
Yeah, no, we were definitely. He was working with us when we opened for Kiss. We opened for Kiss in Europe at Wembley Arena. I have a picture of me standing at the console, me saying Wembley Arena. Holy shit! Here I am at Wembley. Here I am at Wembley Arena. Like, it was definitely one of the high points of what I considered my career at the time. No, he was there. Both. We also supported Alice Cooper with Danger Day, and Todd was there for that. We had some great times. We had some good. There's a picture of us, the whole Danger crew, with Todd and myself and the band at London Bridge, and it's a group shot of us all at London Bridge, and of course all the sarcasm you can think of is like right there, we're all looking at the bridge like, yeah, so what? It's London Bridge, yeah, big deal. Whatever. But it's that shot of everybody with that same attitude. Yeah, great, London Bridge, gives a shit.
I hadn't even been to the Statue of Liberty. Now and I'm in the frickin' bridge.
Exactly. I'm at London Bridge. I haven't been to the Statue of Liberty yet, but here I am. I haven't been to Madison Square Garden, but I'm at Wembley Arena.
At Wembley.
Right. So go figure.
That's great.
I gotta tell you, I did. I've been to Wembley for a concert, and I did the same thing. Like I stood there, I'm like, I'm at Wembley.
Right, exactly.
Like, how is this possible? It's overwhelming.
It's Wembley.
Yeah, it's
something.
something.
You got to say it's just Wembley.
And I saw London Bridge too.
Yeah.
So with the coronavirus and the pandemic in 2020, had you ever seen anything like that impact the industry that you were in? And describe just a little bit of how unique that whole situation and that time frame was.
Well, I could say that I'm actually pissed, I guess, not for any other reason other than the fact that the entire world, and this is obviously a biased opinion, but from my point of view, the entire country totally forgot about music, totally said screw you, no one cared. We were the first ones to shut. We literally was the first industry to shut down. Our industry shut down hotels, airlines, the entire music industry literally. And we're just, people are saying, well, why don't you get a job? I said, it's not a job. It's a fucking career. I've been doing this for 35 years. What do you want to do?
I have a job.
Right. I had a job. You told me I can't do it. So.
And no support, no money, no financial aid.
It was. I said, everybody goes to, do a benefit concert. All these bands, all these, big name celebrities do benefit concerts with some disaster in here and there. I said, where's the people helping the actual industry that does that shit? The one that actually puts on benefits and doesn't, to help people. I'm really annoyed at the entire country for that. They literally told the music industry to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, we're down here in Nashville. They're struggling to keep open a legendary venue called the Exit Inn.
Yeah, I know it.
And they're struggling because there's no support. They got no income, and the owner of the building's like, I'm going to sell it.
Well, they tried the Save Our Stages Act thing that they signed as far as, and I definitely don't want to get political on this at all.
Yeah.
But they did sign this into law or whatever to send all this money, but it didn't take into account the touring music crews, and there's a lot of people that tour. There's a lot of support in this. That money went to the venue. To like, in other words, if you have local people that under your employ at the venue, you could pay them. Well, that's great. There's no band coming into play because they can't get there. But at least now you're paying the people that used to work at the venue, the local crew. At least they're getting paid. But it did nothing for the touring industry at all. None of us got any money. It was just, hopefully you get back to work this year. Oh, great. And now, yes, we're all getting back to work. There's definitely an uptick in shows, and people are like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Do you go up there and play your music, go up there and do this, do that, nothing didn't bother them that you were gone for a year and a half.
Well, there was an article that came out about a month ago that Live Nation has twice as many shows booked in 2022 than they did in 2019, the year before the pandemic. So If anything, you're going to see. Brent, are you all right?
Yeah, my daughter just got home from a trip.
I didn't know if you're,
No,
signaling me.
I was waving.
I got a question.
But it is. It's just I think you're going to see. It's going to be interesting to see how many of these tours fail, because there's only so much money. There's only so many venues.
Right. I mean, that's the other thing. They took everything and like, okay, we're going to have 5 shows a week, to make it, these shows, I mean, a lot of people don't know. I mean, a lot of this stuff is booked way in advance, months in advance.
Yeah.
That's how they come up with schedules for certain venues. And let's face it, you can't have 5 acts playing at Madison Square Garden on the same day. It doesn't work. You just can't do it. It's got to be a lag time. And the other thing is, if you saturate it, say, okay, Madison Square Garden, I don't know what the average ticket is. I'll say $100. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So
if there was a show every night at Madison Square Garden for the next 2 weeks to make up for this, well, that's $700. Let's see, 2 weeks of shows. That's $1,400. Who's got They not everybody's going to go to every show, which they would have. It would have been spread out over. Well, there's a show this month at Madison Square Garden. There's one next month. Oh, I'm going to go see Taylor Swift or the Foo Fighters. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So now everything's like doubling up, and like they're trying to and you're just not going to get the money's not there for it. People are going to say, I can't afford to go to every show now. Regardless of who their artist is.
And the venues. I mean, I think it's going to be harder to, just like you said, when you have a band at Madison Square Garden every night, any club or theater, they're going to be booking as many people as you can. So when it goes to put together a tour, it's logistically it's going to be a lot harder, because hey, we got instead of 200 miles between a show, now just to get an empty venue, you got 600 miles.
Right.
But
well, and how many road behind the scenes crews actually gave up and went and got jobs? Like, now you got to find people to do the job.
There's a lot of guys that literally, and to be honest with you, I don't blame them. Yeah. I'm of a certain age, and let's just say position where I could not ride it out, but I could pick and choose maybe what I was going to do. I couldn't go work for like I know some guys went to Amazon.
Yep.
Literally left these are guitar
warehouse
techs,
jobs.
Drum techs, guys in the industry for a long time making good money. I'm not talking about young kids that are trying to get touring. These are guys who had careers, and they say, dude, I'm working in Amazon, steady paycheck and benefits, where there's not a lot of benefits in rock and roll. Mm-hmm. A lot of bands don't pay health benefits. Yeah. A lot of everybody assumes that everybody is like, ooh, must be great.
You're paid on a 1099. You're basically a self-employed. If you want benefits, it's coming out of your
pocket. You pay
for
yourself.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah. There are some bands at W2, their crew, but they're usually bigger bands with much more different much more different payroll scheduling. But I mean, I know a lot of guys that say, dude, I'm home with my kids making more money and I got benefits. Why would I get, and like I said, these are guys that have been doing it 20, 25 years. They're looking and saying, you know what? I don't need this bullshit anymore. And
it's a shame.
Yeah.
But I get it. You get it.
Yeah. I mean, I tried. I mean, like when I quit Foghat in 2007, I tried to get it going, but it didn't work.
Go back and work on cars.
That's it,
Well, on Facebook, there's a I'm going to say we're all Kiss fans.
Yeah.
And there's an auction site that they do. And Keith LaRue from Kiss Online, he also works for the band, does photography, does meet and greet packages and what have you. They usually do an auction every Saturday night, and the road crew sends so much stuff in to sell because they haven't been making any money. And it was even last night they were still selling sweatshirts that the Pyrotech company would give them.
I've seen that. I've seen some. I've seen some things on eBay that probably wouldn't have been showing up on eBay. And I get it. I understand.
Well, the lowest of the low was Kiss did a special shirt for the crew, and all the proceeds went to the crew. Well, these idiots overseas were counterfeiting them and selling them on eBay.
Yep.
And they're saying, don't buy that shirt.
Yeah, right. Because it's not benefiting anybody except the guy that's selling it. Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
sad.
Well, that's capitalism at
Well,
its worst.
Let's change some gears and get into some. Let's get to the positive parts. Carl, what's your favorite Night Ranger song?
Yes.
You can just hum it like you did to Brad if you need to.
Let's say this. What's your favorite Night Ranger song to mix? Front of the house sound there.
Or what do you look forward to hearing on that?
Was it I Call Your Name? Is that the?
Yeah.
Oh, they don't play that too often.
Ding, ding, ding.
No, it's one of my favorite songs to mix
Well,
because it's
that's
it just
you could
is.
say you could say Touch of Madness too. It wouldn't hurt my feelings.
It wouldn't have your feelings. Okay. The song Night Ranger is actually my when we talked before about a song that you key in on and everything just flows from there.
A great song.
Now, obviously, they don't start with that song, but I've done it enough now. I've been with them for 5 years, so I've done it enough. But Night Ranger was the song, my go-to song during their set that I would key off of to get my mix in my head.
Yeah.
And from there on in, it was everything else was just icing on the cake. But yeah, I Call Your Name, Seven Wishes is another song. Again, from a mix standpoint of view, because I like working. I enjoy mixing. I enjoy the movements in the song and whatnot. So it's fun to mix. Those are the songs that I would probably enjoy.
Well, when we have an intervention with Jack about making Call My Name a mandatory
standard,
we will have Carl.
Well, you'll have my endorsement.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jack is really concerned about which song I want him to play.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, he'll ask.
We demand.
And then he says no.
We demand.
Oh.
We demand Call Your Name and benefits. Now.
in that order.
In that order.
Is there, during your whole career, was there ever an idol that, before you got in the business, that you grew up, was on your records, that you got to meet and were just maybe a little starstruck? Was there anyone that, you getting into the business you wanted to meet and you eventually got to?
I don't think I was ever. I'm not I guess a fan, but yeah, I never really wanted to just meet somebody for the sake of meeting them, because I think. I mean, I get where some people enjoy that, and because they have that kind. I like to have something in common with somebody, even as remote or whatever it may be. But I like to have, beyond saying hello, I'd like to have a conversation.
Sure.
So yeah, I couldn't say that there's anybody. I've met tons of people in this business, celebrities and rock stars and everything, and I've been lucky enough to call some of them friends, but most of them is that they're human and they interact on a human level, and I enjoyed that more than anything else. I mean, initially, one of my heroes from back when I was a teenager is Leslie West in Mountain. I got to record a record with him. I got to mix his, him live a couple of shows in the late '80s. That was fun. It was, to meet the man, the two-fingered solo monster is what I used to call him. Prince was the other end of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, so I know we all know Prince was weird and stuff, but were you nervous at all going in because of just the stature of who he was?
Absolutely.
Or did you just look at it like it's a job, he's a guy?
I did. It's the only gig that I can actually say that I was nervous.
Yeah.
It truly was.
Understandably.
I was nervous because I don't know where I was coming from in the timeline. I don't remember if I was coming from Cinderella or if I was coming from someone else. But
yeah,
it was I think what made me more nervous was the fact that because his reputation was so out there as the quintessential studio guy. In other words, he's such a genius, and so I was more concerned about what he was thinking I was doing than I should have been more concerned about. Instead of worrying about him thinking about me, I should have just been concerned more about me.
Yeah,
I shouldn't have let him get into my head, and I regret that from that point of view, and that's probably the reason I got fired, because I just let myself get into the wrong head. You know? But it happens.
Did anyone ever surprise you? And what I mean by that is, one time I was talking to a session bassist named Michael Rhodes, played on every country album in the 90s, right. Reba, Confederate Railroad, all those guys, and now is currently the bass player for Joe Bonamassa. And I asked him when he was doing this session work, is there anybody that he ever did work with that just surprised the hell out of him? And his answer was, yeah. He goes, the Dixie Chicks. He got, a phone call, hey, you're going to go work with this band called the Dixie Chicks, and he's telling his wife, I got to go work. Who the hell is the Dick?
Right.
And he goes, he went into the session and he couldn't believe how good they were and how great they played. Is there anyone like that you've ever went to go mix sound or monitors, and you had one idea in your head, and then you actually see them and you're like, holy shit, these guys are really good? Night Ranger obviously would be one.
Obviously. Actually, I think I said that earlier. There was Night Ranger surprised me in the sense of their energy. When I saw them live, it really was not a mitigating factor, but it was definitely. I said, man, these guys kick ass. But I can't really. I guess, to be honest with you, you're probably going to laugh at this. The Replacements surprised me in their absolute lack of professionalism and musicality. It was so raw and just so out there. I mean, just full on, I would say rock. I don't care what they call it, post-punk, whatever they want to call it, but it was their inability to pull it all together and still come across. I was mostly impressed with that. I loved working with them because it was like, what shit show was going to happen tonight? I mean, there was times of Westerberg, literally, he'd go out and play one song and say, I'm not into it tonight, and walk off the stage, and that would be it. That was the show. He would literally say, see ya, I'm not into this tonight. You all suck. Goodbye. And walk off the stage. I mean, there was such a swing in that. So, I mean, from that point of view, they were certainly not what I would say, they're not session cats. They're not, but their sense of the turn of a lyric that he had, and his chord phrasing on his guitar. He had his own, on some songs, he had his own tuning. I don't even know what it was, but it worked, But yeah, certainly Night Ranger surprised me, like I said, because I didn't expect that level of energy, and it's a very positive energy. You know what I mean? It's a real in your face. Here we are, blah blah blah. Other than that, I can't. Cinderella, I enjoyed. I guess musicianship, it had to be Giant. Mm-hmm. Giant was the most proficient musically. These were all pro, musicians. They're all session cats. The whole band was session guys. Mixing them at night was like you couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah. Well, unfortunate thing with them is they just came on the scene so late that right about the time when they came on the scene.
Well, yeah, right. It was grunge. That's what killed everybody.
Yeah.
I know, baby. Wing is one of my most favorite bands, not because of Beavis and Butthead, but because I just like I like the way Kip Winger writes songs. I just like a lot of people say,
I agree.
Right? It's just his
he
chord
catches
phrasing.
A lot of shit, but he's a talented guy.
Down
he's
in
a talented guy,
man. Hell of a song.
And it is. I have, So I mean, a lot of people are gonna make fun of him, but I think he's got a great ear for arranging. Is what I would say.
Sure.
What comes to your mind if I mention the name Eric Levy?
Oh man, it just makes me laugh. I mean, I can't put it any other way. He just makes me smile. Not laugh. Laugh is the wrong word. He just makes me smile. He's the consummate pianist. I know it's probably a shit word, but he just is. He's he's very well schooled. I mean, I am amazed of his actual knowledge of music. You know, it's probably the thing it's probably the core basis for Night Ranger at the moment, is the fact that his musical knowledge is so vast as far as chord arranging and this, that, and the other. But he's a quiet dude, sticks to himself, but he's a lot of fun when he's had a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
It's hard to get him to have a few drinks. I mean, but in general, he loosens up.
Yeah.
He's just a nice, he's a nice guy. I love him to death. He's great.
What about the name Carrie Kelly?
Totally out there. Just out there. That's again, I guess it's not a problem. The fact of the matter is I consider all these guys friends. It's not Night Ranger the band, I mean, I have friends in Night Ranger is how I look at it. That's really how I look at it.
Yeah.
And he's just so out there, I mean, he's like this. He's like this wind-up doll, man. He's just like, he's like, pow, pow, hey, if we do this, and then, and then if we just turn this a little bit more, and then we could, and then we bring in the orchestra, we can, he's just that guy, Plus, he has a vast knowledge of beer, more than I could ever hope to accomplish. But if he suggests a beer to me, I take him up on it. But yeah,
What about Brad Gillis?
Brad is I don't know if he's not shy. Okay, he'll say what he means and whatnot, and there's no pulling any punches with Brad. I love the fact that he considers, at least I hope he does, he considers me a friend, and we have a truthful conversation about things during the show and whatnot. In other words, in the beginning when I first started with Night Ranger, Brad used to come out front of house every sound check, and, like, you want to hear what I was doing to his guitar in the mix. And I learned earlier that he knows what he wants his guitar to sound like. And like I explained earlier, it's not my job to change that sound. But out front, things do change just by the nature of the speakers that it's coming out of in the room. So I learned early on that when Brad asks for something, that he's asking because he wants to know if it can be changed or something, or if we can improve it somehow. I'm happy to say of late, the last 3 years, he hasn't come out the front of house once. And he's not very he's extremely friendly and talkative, I guess, but he's he has his off time where he's sticks to himself like we all do, but he's when the band is together, he's totally animated. I love him, but he tends to be quiet sometimes, that's all.
Kelly Kagi.
I'm sure it's been said, underrated drummer. He never plays the same song the same way twice, in a good way. There are certain fills. Richie Russo would be, more apt to. My drumming career, it was over a long time ago, and I can't even recall how I would have addressed this. But as a person, he's a sweetheart. Cares for his crew, cares for everybody around him. He's the kind of guy who would put something else before him. It's just he's just that kind of a guy. It's just, again, he's my friend. But I love the way he plays drums. He has a certain nuance that every song at every show is slightly different, a little different fill here, a little nuance there. And I think that's what makes a great drummer, is the fact that he can still play in and around that structured song and still play in and around it and move things around. Makes my job a lot of fun, again.
Yes. Completely agree.
And finally, Mr. Jack Blades.
Yeah, we don't talk much.
Sir.
Jack is just Jack. I mean, again, he's the aside when I said like Kerry is just out there, Jack is the one that's there. I can't put it any on stage and everywhere. He's just the ball of energy and positive vibe. Everything is not a joke, but everything is funny. We make no matter what we're talking about, and we've talked about politics and this, that, and the other thing, it never goes negative, even though we may disagree on certain things. And I don't mean just politics; I mean just anything, music or otherwise. Sure. But he's just always a positive voice in the world of dissent. I guess I can't put it.
Sure.
It's just if I talk to Jack, I'm smiling 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
That's all I know. So when I see him, sometimes we arrive at the same airport and we arrive at the same terminal, it's genuinely a happy feeling to see him. It's like, Jack, oh man, we're going to do the show today. Great. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it just makes me laugh, makes me smile. Not laugh so much, but it makes me smile. Mm-hmm. That's all I can. And his wife Molly is a treasure. He's got a great family, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah,
that's
like
awesome.
I said, I consider them all friends.
Brent, Andy, do you guys have any questions to end this?
I do have one that we didn't get a chance to bring in here. Last week was last week. It's already Sunday. Brad's returned back to the band from his shoulder surgery.
Yes.
What was that like? Mixing Eric, because I know Eric was doing everything we heard on the internet sounded great, by the way, but that's coming through a little speaker.
Thank you for that.
What was that like, having to juggle that?
It was like a big sigh of relief when he came back. Kerry did a phenomenal job of trying to cover 2 guitar parts.
Yep.
I mean, let's face it, Night Ranger is known for dueling solos. So to have Eric play some solos on a keyboard, which is not ideal because it just doesn't bend like a string does, and he did a phenomenal job at that too. But to have Brad back, it was like a sigh of relief, and my mix was able to, in other words, I know it's hard to explain, my mix was kind of like up the middle with Kerry. When Brad came back, I was able to fatten it out and bring it back wide again.
Yeah.
So in other words, my mix is like it's spread out. So yeah, I mean, aside from personally glad that he's back and everything, he hasn't played since March. That's the Orlando show, I think, is what we did. SeaWorld. That was the last show he played.
Yeah, that was actually in February.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
So,
that's tough.
Andy, you got anything you want to throw at
Yeah,
Carl?
real quick, 3 little things I wanted to mention. Back when you were talking about you had asked that drummer Todd to cut a hole in his bass drum head.
I knew this was going to come up.
I had an issue with that one time at a bar, and a guy told me, I said, ain't no effing way I'm cutting a hole in that, because I just had my logo put on it. I said, no way. Your job is to make that work, not mine.
That's true.
And I was kind of bitchy about it, but I just paid money to have a custom logo made. I was like, I later did cut a hole.
So if you notice on the Night Ranger logo, there's a spot for that hole. Like they figured out the logo and everything to go around that spot so it doesn't affect the logo. I just thought
I finally surrendered. I had more than one sound guy kept saying, dude, it'd be so much nicer if you just cut a hole in that. And I finally did.
There's certain tonalities that come with
I cut
that.
a smaller hole. I didn't cut a big hole. And a quick little monitor story. I only once in my life had the luxury of having on stage, monitor mix. And I was so taken aback that this guy approaches me and goes, "What do you want in your ears?" And I was like, "Whatever." He's like, "Well, I mean, what do you want?" I'm like, "I don't know what to say to you. I'm used to having these just giant wedges, and everything's overbearing." He goes, "Do you want more bass with this?" I was like, Yes. All of it.
All of that.
And he was just like, "Okay, I got it." And he just walked away. And then lastly, is that background shot the Chicago show? 35 years in a night, because if it is, I'm over your left shoulder.
Let's see if I can get out of the way here for a second.
I think that's 35 years in a night. Isn't that House of Blues?
No, it's not. It's actually
then never mind. Edit this.
iHeart Fest. The iHeart show in California.
I was gonna say that looks a lot bigger than the theater.
Yeah, that's bigger than right. And I figured it was apropos for this
Yeah.
interview to have that in the background,
This
because that's
massive.
basically that's my position.
That's your view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my view. That's what I see every night. Is that
Yeah.
within reason.
Yeah.
And Carl, you'll never do another podcast with your name behind a complete stranger.
Thank you.
Anytime you want to come on, I'll recolor it. We'll treat you good.
I'm
here.
sure this needs to be edited. I talked my ass off for no reason.
Great stories, man.
You
I-
see,
we
if
could
you
keep
watch
going.
the episodes, this is what people love.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And,
Well, I got to add one more because I specifically saved this and I forgot it. And this is about Todd. Like I said, I don't know if this is going to show up on here. Can you see that? Can you read it?
Osaka, Japan, January 17th, 95.
Yes.
July 2nd, maybe, earthquake. That's where I can't.
7.2 earthquake
Okay.
in Kobe, Japan. That was me and Todd with Dream Theater, and we were in that earthquake. And this is a piece of rock from the hotel
Really?
Wow.
that we were staying in, and I took it home as a souvenir. And it was about 5:00 in the morning our time in Japan, and I remember the walls shaking. It woke me up. And the TV at that time was, mounted on a wall on a corner. It wasn't flat screen then. It was like a real,
Yeah.
tube TV. And it came crashing down on the floor, woke me up. I got up out of bed, and all of a sudden I realized the room is literally shaking, like it's moving. I go, what the hell is it? And I'm a New York boy, we don't have earthquakes.
Yeah.
It took me about 3 seconds to figure out that, well, this must be what an earthquake feels like. So, of course, I walk over to the window to see what's going on like an idiot.
Sure.
You're not supposed to go by the window, And I said, well, this is getting worse. Because it was. I was like, holy shit. So I put on my pants and my shoes. I grabbed the receipts, the tour receipts, passport. That's all that matters. Everything else can, whatever. I go open the door, get into the hallway, and I see Todd in the hallway, butt naked. And he is literally screaming, what the fuck is going on here? And I can't believe how calm I was, because at one point I was like, I don't ever want to see that again. And the other thing is I said, go inside, put your pants on, get your passport, and come out here and we'll head downstairs. Derek Sherinian, the keyboard player at the time, was in the room across the hall, and he's standing in the doorway. He says, I go, aren't you getting ready to get? He says, dude, this is what you do. I'm from L.A., dude. You stand in the doorway. I said, this building is still moving. I'm getting out of here. I said, you can stay in the doorway all you want. So anyway, that was my Todd story. He was totally butt naked going, what the fuck is going on?
That's a great spot to end on.
I hope so. I hope I didn't talk your ears off.
No, we appreciate it, Carl. If you are listening to this and at your next Night Ranger show and you see Carl out there, say hello to him. Tell him what a great job he's doing, but stay the hell out of his way.
Don't worry, the tip jar is right on the console. Okay? So donations are greatly appreciated, and also if there's a Starbucks nearby, just bring me a venti mocha, hot, not iced, and
That's my drink.
maybe I'll figure something out.
There you go. What if the show's going and it's towards the end? What other beverage? A Pabst Blue Ribbon?
No. The beverage of choice is tequila, but that's only pre-show, and only one.
And the brand of choice is El Toro, I hear.
Don Julio.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Take notes.
There you go. We are getting you guys set up to get in with Carl.
And then the mix goes south. You're like,
Yeah.
what's going
From
on,
there,
guys?
from that point on, that's really bad from there.
But Carl, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it, and we hope to have you on again, my friend.
Absolutely.
I hope I didn't offend anybody, and I hope I didn't bore you. So.
Nope,
Yeah.
everything's good, and we appreciate it.
And there you have it. Carl was a fantastic guest with the stories that he was telling us, from Anthrax to
White Lion.
White Lion. Yeah, didn't sound like he was too fond of Vito Bratta,
Dude,
but
I wanted to go into a deeper conversation about that because I don't know if you guys are out with White Lion. I really like White Lion as a band, and so, but I didn't. I could go for a good 40 minutes on White Lion.
I just know I've learned that it's good to have a smoking jacket and plaid pants in my suitcase if I'm going to be interviewing for a job, perhaps.
With the
it might be
replacements.
That was one of the weirdest things I got out of that. I was
you
like,
just want to see you just want to see if he's going to look good at it,
That was funny.
So
that was a fun interview.
But there you go, a little bit of behind the scenes. And if you're out at the Night Ranger show, tell Carl hello. And after the show, if you see him, tell him how good of job he did for the band.
And bring him a Venti Mocha hot.
Large.
And if I'm there, bring me one too, because I'll take it too.
Yeah. Is that a large coffee? I don't know.
Yes. Basically, it's a 20-ounce coffee.
All right.
I don't get their sizes either. I don't understand it.
Venti is at 20 in Italian, I believe. I think that's how that comes out. I could be completely wrong, but I think that's how they get that.
I was going to say, I don't think that's large. It's a word for large, but
yeah, it's Venti.
But yeah, just bring me one too. Sugar and cream.
Josh
whatever.
just wants his Starbucks to say Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Well,
if you put in a Starbucks cup, he'll take it.
I will drink a Pabst Blue Ribbon or a Schlitz or whatever.
Schlitz.
What was I like? I was drinking in Houston.
How about Lone
Star?
Tonight is kind of special.
It's not my first choice, but if you're really wanting to tie one on, drink some Lowenbrow. It'll fuck you up a little bit differently.
You got your hams. Remember that when we were kids? And they used to have a little animated bear, walking through the woods.
They've started.
And my mom would be so pissed. They're not selling to adults.
They would. They've brought hams back. You can buy 30-pack of hams up here for $15. So if you're into drinking for volume, you need the most for your money. You pick up a 30-pack of hams up here. So
my Aunt Jeanette, may she rest in peace. She was a professional alcoholic, and her beer of choice was Top Hat.
Professional.
And it had a top hat on the can. I'll never forget it as a kid. White gloves and a cane. Mm-hmm. And she'd probably go to Kroger and get that a 6-pack for $1.49.
How do you get from the minor leagues to the pro level of drinking?
Milwaukee's
Best would have been considered like Budweiser compared to Top Hat, I'm sure.
Milwaukee's Best was a good beer. But
that's just piss and water, man.
You can plow down some Milwaukee's Best Light. A beer I wish they sold around here that they do, but it's only the cream ale is Genesee.
Oh, Genesee cream ale! I remember that.
I don't like the cream ale. I just like the regular Genesee. But you can.
But you'll take it if somebody's handing them out.
I will if that's all my selection is. I mean,
Josh is basically saying you don't have a very discerning palate. You have your preferences,
now,
but if you walk around handing them out, you're like, I'm in.
Andy, yeah. I'm going to tell you. Andy doesn't drink, and beer would be horrifying to his taste buds. But I will tell you, there's not much difference between a Miller Lite and a Busch Light. They pretty much taste. They're good, okay. And once you get your tolerance or your taste for beer, but you bring in like a Little King's cream ale. Oh my God!
Yeah. If I want to,
might as well just be drinking donkey piss.
Well, I like Little Kings, but if I'm going to drink a cream, one of those, I'm going to drink a Little Kings over a Genesee. I think
that was my brother's beer back in the day, Little Kings.
Oh yeah,
it's horrible,
dude. Every year I stop at the little market down the road when we do our fantasy football draft and pick up a case of Little Kings and make my fantasy selections. Getting.
How do you do with your fantasy seasons? Do you win?
Hey, I think we've had 9 seasons. I've won 4 championships.
Then it works for you.
I attribute it to I've been to 5 Super Bowls, 4 champions, won 4 of them, and it's all because of Little King. So listen, if you're having fantasy football problems, follow my role. And
hey, looking for an endorsement anywhere. We'll
Little
take anything.
Kings and make better selections.
Back when we did a fantasy football league, back when this first started, and I'll never forget, we were all sitting around doing a draft on our buddy Kevin Hayes, who does listen occasionally.
Kevin, this is for you.
We're all doing our drafts, and I'm like, my first pick is Steve Young. And, you hear all the guys in the room, and Kevin Hayes is like, Dallas's defense.
No, he took the kicker.
Oh, the kick! Oh, he took the kicker.
The kicker.
The defense. Okay.
I forget who the team was. He took the kicker, and we're all like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah." I was like, "You got him." He's like, "Hell yeah, I do." I was like, "Do you understand how this works?" He goes, "Yeah, he scores the most points." I was like,
"No."
Well, I mean, yeah, you probably could have got that kicker pretty solidly in the 12th, 13th, or 20th pick.
He's
But
right.
what you can't get is a quarterback or a running back.
He's right if you only get points for points, like no yards,
right?
Stuff like that. Because
that was his thought process.
Because field goal kickers usually do score the most points. So
that's what he said. He said, "You got him locked in, buddy. He's yours."
And
but I'm gonna get a kicker that gets very similar points in the 18th round.
Well, I'm saying though, if he just didn't understand how the scoring went.
Didn't.
So,
and we made him stick with it. We made him keep the kicker.
So we've done fantasy football talk, beer talk, and what else did we do with Carl that went on for a while?
We talked about his love of the only football team that plays in New York.
Yeah, we did the Buffalo Bills. So there you go. We're checking all kinds of boxes for you today. So this is going to be like a 2.5 to 2:45.
You might be able to get 2 episodes out of this.
There you go.
An idea.
It is an idea. So
let's be like the Fabulous Thunderbirds and wrap it up.
All right.
I'll take it.
Go to Facebook, click like, go to our website, fansofmotion.com. Go to the Instagram page, follow that, all the good stuff.
Follow Night Ranger, follow the guys in the band. Again, spread the word. All of your podcatchers out there, whatever you listen to, if it's iHeartRadio, if it's Spotify, any of your streaming services that have them, get it, like it, leave a comment, give us some ratings so we know if you like us or if you don't like us. That's fine. Don't mention names specifically. Let's not get personal.
Andy.
Damn it.
Andy.
All right. We will talk to you next week. What?
One more thing. And streaming for the podcast is fantastic, but don't when the band plays on comes out, do not freaking stream it. You buy it. Streaming doesn't do shit for the band.
If you stream it and Brent finds out, he will come to your house and smack
with
you
his Jay Silent Bob at the end and say, what was one of the quotes, Andy?
Yeah, I forget their names, but I know
you sir are the ball lickers, and blah blah blah.
And with ball lickers, we are saying goodbye. Later.
Bingo.